And welcome on in, trainer, to the first iteration of the Fight Night. Welcome back to the Unite Battle Hub channel. Drake Usan, of course, your host for the first set of the evening. And I got some very beautiful people on either side of me. We got Kellosaurus and Cop. Let's go ahead and check in with y'all. Kello, it is a lot warmer where you are. It's getting quite cold here in California. Of course, our lovely friend from Australia. Kello, how's it going?
I am so ready for our first fight night over at Unite Battle Hub. It's just going to be a super chill night, some great games all around. And you know what? I'm just so excited to see that we have all Pokemon playable today.
I know, it's going to be super exciting. I know there's a lot of Pokemon that were banned for various reasons, either in Moratorium, like Darkrai, and Psyduck is going to be available to be played today, so that's going to be super fun. But let's check in with our other caster, Cop. How's it going, dude? It's been some time. Hope you've been well. How's it going?
It's going very well. It is probably the coldest in New York City right now, I will say. Me and my Alola Ninetales are doing quite well over here in this ice. But I'm excited. This is the first fight night, and I'm really excited to see what these teams are going to bring. It is sort of like an open sandbox now. Now that we have EX Pokemon available, now that we have Psyduck available, and now that we're post LAIC, what are people going to do? What are they going to bring to the table? I'm hyped.
Mm-hmm. These teams are definitely going to be bringing the heat in our first round of the Fight Night iteration. This is a new event that we're hosting here for Unite Battle Hub. This is the perfect opportunity for teams both in North America and EU to get your practice in before the UCS season starts. And some of these teams were actually at the first event for UCS 2025 at LAIC. I believe Team YT is participating today, so big shout outs to them for flying back home and then participating in our event today right off the bat. But there's quite a number of teams that we're going to be looking at today. For today's broadcast, we're going to be looking at 3 best of 3s in our Swiss style tournament for today, and there's quite a number of very high profile teams participating in today's event. We already talked about Team YT. We have some newer names, but definitely familiar faces or familiar names in the Unite community. We have Team Sanguine, who I believe is under a different fun name. We have T3, which is an old God Squad favorite. We have one of Unite Battle Hub favorites, Flaming Hot Dodrios, coming out to play. Kello, any teams you're really looking to cast today? Any teams you're looking to have a really strong performance?
Look, I think you pretty much nailed a lot of those. Definitely looking forward to seeing Team YT play out again, even though we just saw them over the weekend for LAIC. But as we said, like, tonight is just such a good warm-up, coming out of LAIC, and then the following weekend, not this one, the weekend after, we are going to have the AOS Cup play-ins. So if there's any time and any place really to get your practice in before then, it's going to be over at a Unite Battle Hub. And the great thing is we're hosting 2 for each of the regions as well. So this is just the first one for NA. We're going to have another one as well. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. The second one for NA is 27th. So if you are, liking what tonight is looking like and want to sign up for that, definitely check that out. But we also have the EU region as well. So they're on the 22nd and the 29th as well. So I think, it's just setting up that scene, getting that practice, getting that team synergy, right? Work out those kinks and iron out those kinks. And then, you're going into that AOS Cup, because really, in reality, we start off with a bang with UCS.
I know, it's starting a lot earlier than it did last year, right? At this time last year, we were all still waiting for next Pokemon, but we are now waiting for the first official online event, which is going to be starting in 2 weeks for UCS, and I'm so excited. I know a lot of these teams have really been grinding during this offseason, and it's been very short for this offseason, so I'm excited to see how the teams are going to perform with all this preparation going into the first event in a couple of weeks. But Cop, we've had a couple of weeks with this most recent balance patch. I believe it's been almost 3 weeks now since the Freezing Rush balance patch number 2 was released. Psyduck was also released, I believe, a week and a half or so ago. So it's still a moratorium, but it is going to be played today. This might be one of the first larger events that we're going to be seeing the duck on the field. Any particular Pokemon that you're excited to see? Of course, we can talk about Psyduck, but anything else from you, Cobb?
I am super excited to see Psyduck for the first time in this setting. You know, whether you want to actually call it a supporter or not, it could be a ranged attacker. It's got the damage output for sure. But I think what it brings to the table is a fascinating new part to the game. Like, Psyduck's Disable alone is such a useful tech that we haven't seen yet, like reducing or extending those cooldowns for the enemy team. I'm excited to see some of the Pokemon that have really become quite flexible in the draft environment. That seems to be what's happening right now with the Blissey buffs to Safeguard and Helping Hand. Now you can safely draft pick a Blissey, but you can either go Eggs or you can go Safeguard Helping Hand based on how the enemy comp is doing. The same thing with Umbreon. That's what I'm excited to see is how flexible can teams be with their draft choices to really bring out the breadth of these Pokemon.
And I think specifically, I think it's always really interesting to see how teams adapt to the new information of how the metagame is progressing, especially after a huge event like LAIC was a couple of days ago. We might see teams try to maybe experiment with something that LG was doing. Of course, they were the winner at LAIC. They experimented with team compositions that lacked a formal healing support. I believe there's a couple of games where Overlord would play like Lucario, Trainer would play Zoroark. There would be a Mew support, but no traditional supports from Luminosity Gaming. But we'll see how well these teams adapt to the new information of how the characters are doing. And unfortunately, most recent 2 characters heading up to that ban slot. We're going to be heading into the first round of our round robins. This is T3 on our purple side, Rally Esports on our orange side. Blissey, first pick option for Tie-Dye, the support carry for T3. On the other side, Rally Esports, not super familiar with this team name, but definitely familiar with some of these players. Supa SP has definitely been a semi-pro player. Azmat Arc has participated in a couple other grassroots I've seen. But look at this start, Kello. Pretty conservative. Comfey and a Snorlax.
What can we say? Those supporters and defenders, you want to pick those up first because, well, they are in limited supply. So, and as Cop called it, picking up that Blissey first is so impeccable when it isn't banned on out. However, we do have Slowbro also being picked on up for T3, along with a Mimikyu. What do you think about Mimikyu, Cop?
So we saw Mimikyu a lot in the LAIC, and its Shadow Sneak is one of the best ways to dive onto the enemy team. It is an all-rounder, but it plays almost like a speedster in how well it can just dive into a backline and swiftly take out one of those ranged attackers or one of those supporters. Dolly coming in with the Cerule Edge and Arden on the Miraidon. We saw a lot of Miraidon at LAIC. Drakey, what do we think?
Yeah, Miraidon is definitely one of the best attackers in the game at the moment. Can support your team as well. I know some Asia teams in particular have been running a more supportive Miraidon, but with that item set, most likely going a more attack-oriented Pokemon with their selection here. I want to go back to this Comfey pick once again. I do really like the adaptation from T3 to pull out 2 characters that have bounded type Unite moves, right? If this Mimikyu latches on or uses that Unite move onto someone that the Comfey is pocketing, well, both of those characters get put under that veil of the Play With Me Unite move. Same thing with a Slow Beam. If Comfey is attached to someone, lands onto that Pokemon, then that Pokemon is also locked in as well. But as these 2 teams start to finish up their final preparations, Kello, wonderful time to have you on the cast. Go ahead and have a good one with this one.
Thank you so much, Draku. Cop, is this the Sobby? I think I'm losing it right now. I am so excited to see Sobby back into this thing. Getting back, I think the last time we saw them, I guess on screen would have been our NAIC. So picking up the Espeon and Garchomp, the final picks for T3. And it looks like we have a Blastoise here with that Slick Spoon and special attack specs. So more going for that attacker build rather than, say, a defender or more all-rounder. I guess Blastoise can really do it all.
Yes, I completely agree. Blastoise is another one of those Pokemon that's flex in the draft, right? You can either go that Hydro Pump Surf and be able to displace the enemy team, get that push and pull, and really be a bully in the sandbox if we're going to continue our playground metaphor, right? Or you can go that Rapid Spin and just be pure damage and be a sprinkler of damage into the enemy team. But, I like the Blastoise pick here. I really actually like the Garchomp. It is such a high-risk, high-reward Pokemon if you can get it evolved in time.
I think that's the thing. You need to try and get it evolved ASAP. But we are going in with our first match for the Unite Battle Hub Fight Nights. The first one for the NA region. T3 over on the purple side. Rally Esports on the orange. And we have a little bit of an invade already.
Already, Rally Esports coming in here. Cocodrilla on this Snorlax, going after the T3's red buff as if it can get it in time. And I don't think the Mimikyu has been able to see it yet. No one on T3 side is rotating down to help the Mimikyu. Snorlax looks like it's taken it and it's just going to walk away. Happy dandy.
Look, it's got its prize. It's done what it needed to do. So you might as well just take that and run. But as we pivot up into the top path, we can see that Mimikyu has decided to join the party. Going to look for that level 5 up first with that wild Pokemon. So despite losing that red buff, at least it hasn't fallen too far behind.
Absolutely. Snorlax coming down here in the bottom lane to bully the Slowpoke as Rally Esports tries to take what experience that they can. Really, the Slowpoke holding down the bottom lane as Espeon Sobi up here with the Garchomp and the Mimikyu rotating up top because it looks like Rally Esports really pushing the top with that Comfey on the Ceruledge. And here we go. We're coming on in. Squirtle goes down to the Mimikyu as well. Comfey having to detach in order to deal some damage to stop the points coming in. But T3 going to get 61 points in on this top tier goal. And now they're going to head out. They've done their job and they're likely going to rotate down to this bottom goal as Ceruledge continues to track them to keep vision on the team in this middle area.
Yeah, wants to make sure that they don't end up going with an invade and stealing away those buffs. But Mimikyu and Blissey aren't going to stop here. They're going to put chase on the Snorlax, who has popped their X speed. Going to turn back around with a bit of a belly flop, but that isn't going to do a lot except delay for time. Thankfully, they do have a Comfey there just to give them that little bit of a boost and a berry, and now they're back at full HP here, Cop.
That's absolutely one of the best things about Comfey. I love Comfey as a supporter. Its ability to hop on and off and quickly heal the team is so useful. As you can see just now, it dives onto that Ceruledge in order to give it a little bit of health as it fights this Slowbro. The center of birds are gone, and the Garchomp coming in. Ceruledge drops to Sobi and the Espeon as well as the Comfey, and that is the high risk, high reward of Comfey. 2 kills in 1.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know what, T3, they're now going to take the opportunity to go and dunk in some more points, eliminating that tier 1 pad 30 seconds before those objectives spawn. So that is going to create so much space down here for them. And I mean, leading at 139 to 20, that is a massive lead going on in. But 3 members heading up into the top path.
Absolutely, and that Mimikyu jumped right onto the Ceruledge here, trying to take it down before it could get around to the berries. Wasn't able to, and it looks like we've got a small skirmish happening in the top lane. Rally Esports trying to take what little experience they can off these bunnies as our top Regieleki is spawning, as well as our bottom Regi as well. Garchomp looking to farm that bottom Regi itself, but Slowbro using this surf here to try and stall Rally Esports while the Mimikyu tries to get the Regieleki down fast enough. Chansey coming in just for a little bit of a slap, and Garchomp claims the Regi still on the bottom.
I guess that's the benefit of eliminating that tier 1 pad earlier on. It doesn't really give Rally Esports the chance to go and contest it. Otherwise, 2 objectives have been locked in for tier 3, and the pressure is on as they are pushing towards this tier 1. A great Psychic Select and eject button from Sobi to catch out some of those members of Rally Esports. Regieleki ends up crashing, leaving it on 3, and that is a 37 overdunk cop.
What a massive overdunk as we saw Garchomp pushing through the flex zone, able to take down that Miraidon as T3 is now charging this tier 2 goal. And Snorlax is going to be trying to block Rally Esports back into the flex zone as well, trying to slow them down so they can get some of these knockouts to send them back to the Pokemon Center. Blastoise able to take down Sobi on that Espeon. Garchomp fighting as best as it can. It might not be able to make it out this Blissey, unsure if it's able to get in there and heal it. It does not. Ceruledge takes down the Garchomp.
Oh, that is going to provide some comeback experience over to the side of Rally Esports. I mean, we already have 11 Mimikyu and 2 level 10s on the side of T3. Seralich has just ticked over to level 11, and it looks like it's going to try and dive down on that Mimikyu. However, it is slashing on back with an absolute fury, trying to run away, but the Shadow Sneak ends up catching it out, followed up with the Play With Me. Seralich is Dunskies for now, and it looks like Maridon is next on the chopping board. Oh, they ended up making it on back and escaping onto that T2.
Talk about bullying on the playground here, Kello. This Mimikyu with this Blissey right behind it is just pushing Rally Esports as much as it can. There it goes, diving onto the Blastoise. Blastoise, Hydro Typhoon gets shut down. The Blastoise is almost gone. Garchomp's going to take it out, and the company trying to escape as fast as it can. Ceruledge Unite comes in, slashes through that Garchomp. Garchomp falls to the Ceruledge as now Sovi on this Espeon trying to get what damage it can. Rally Esports might be pushing this bottom tier goal here. They are, as we have Ceruledge, Maridon, Comfy, and Snorlax coming down. We have a bottom Reggie spawning with a member down on T3. Are they able to get there in time? We have so much of a skirmish happening here, Kella.
Oh my gosh, the steal from Pure, the slow bro, taking that away from Rally Esports, who did all that work trying to shred it on down. Seralich and Comfey get a bonk on the head, sent back to the Pokemon Center by Garchomp there. And once again, Maridon left here to try and defend the T2. But I don't know if T3 are going to back on up or whether they're going to continue this fight night progression.
T3 is saying we are here to fight, we are here for a playground brawl, and that's what they're going to continue to do. Rally Esports pushing back in this bottom lane. You see this Garchomp over and over again, doing that Dragon Rush, trying to dive right into T3, but this Mimikyu still going! Flowery Fields popped over here for the Comfy to try and save its teammates, but there's the Mimikyu uniting on top of both the Snorlax and the Comfy, getting both. Comfy detaches and drops!
Oh my gosh, this is an absolute flurry of fights right now. We have a Mimikyu at a level 13. I mean, despite Rally Esports getting knocked out time and time again, I think their levels, they've actually been able to keep up. I guess that's because they're also getting some KOs themselves. Otherwise, we do have that Regieleki up in that top path. Mimikyu is going to solo that down, and I think Rally Esports, they just want to focus on getting the wild Pokemon that is available to them, but I mean, T3 are looking to starve them out.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The Pokemon that are available to them, but T3 is going to take what they can, coming in taking as much of the lunch money as they can while they push this Regieleki, trying to see if they can get in here. Slowbro coming in on the surf to try and stall as best as they can. Slow Smoke dropped as well, and Blastoise is spinning down this Mimikyu. Not going to be able to get it as Mimikyu tries to escape. Ceruledge fighting, but Mimikyu sends the Ceruledge back to the Pokemon Center. Sobi getting what little pot shots they can on the side, but that Maridon Thunder is going to track it down, and T3 says, you know what, we did as best we can. Everybody, let's head out, let's rally, let's farm.
I think this is a great idea. You do not want to overstay your welcome, especially since there is that Regirock down in that bottom path. But look at this positioning, hiding in that tall grass, looking to catch them on out. The Surf to go in with the engage. However, Blissey has been caught out all alone, getting chased on down by the Hydro Spin Blastoise, and they are knocked out. Nonetheless, they still do end up respawning before that final stretch. And it looks like T3 are still managing to hold down that aggressive positioning.
Absolutely, they're going to respawn. They're not going to have that Regirock buff that was claimed by the Garchomp earlier. Ceruledge Unite committed big Unite as Mimikyu jumps on top of the Blastoise and the Comfy once again. Maridon raining down the meteors from the sky, trying to hit what they can for the knockout. Blastoise Rapid Spin coming in. Comfy bobs that Flowery Fields forever, not going to be able to really heal as much as they can. Garchomp takes down the Blastoise, and once again the Comfy, another 2-for-1 here. Maridon trying to get what it can off the Charge Beam. Ceruledge drops, that's 3 down for Rally Esports.
Yo!
So Rayquaza has spawned, but T3 does not even care about it. They do not need it.
No, they don't need it because Garchomp just picked up themselves a 4 KO streak. It's only the Slowbro that's left standing. Ends up getting denied by Espeon on such a minimal HP. Is forced to use that power nap. However, is getting chugged down in their sleep. Garchomp and Espeon have decided to let that go, considering Rally Esports are now back on the field.
Snorlax thought we were playing hide and seek. No, sir. We are playing dodgeball out here in the Thea Sky Ruin. Slowbro using that surf, trying to come in here. Blissey healing with those soft boils, trying to keep that Mimikyu alive. The Snorlax Heavy Slam comes in, drops very quickly. Garchomp Dragon rushing this Blastoise once again. Is it going to be able to make it out in time? It might be able to. No, the Comfey falls. Garchomp using its Unite to continue to pressure this Miraidon. They are not going to give Rally Esports any time they need. We are at 36 seconds. This is the critical point where you either start ripping Ray or you start trying to back cap, but I don't think Rally Esports is going to be able to do it as the points rain in on that home base.
I feel like Anon was had a bit of a I can do what you can do Zealot there on the Mimikyu. Mind you, while it was 3 KO streaks, they did end up picking that fourth, which didn't count, and another KO as well. But you know what, T3, they don't even need to worry about that Rayquaza. They're just going to freely dunk in this home base, rack up those points for the first round of our Fight Night Comp. That was insane.
Wow. That was such a very, very aggressive battle. I feel like Rally Esports is like, Mom, come pick me up. but honestly, it was like what a great example of a Garchomp being able to get to those high levels and being able to apply that pressure. Anon here on this Mimikyu, 13 KOs, 10 assists. Zealot, 12 KOs, 9 assists. That alone is just so much more aggression out of T3's comp than Rally Esports, and they were able to do it because you've got Tie-Dye on this Blissey, 124k healing.
You cannot go wrong with the Blissey eggs, and this is why it was selected up first. Just the versatility of it, as you mentioned, depending on what the team comp goes. And you know what? Eggs were the way here. However, you've got to give credit to the other team. We did see that Blastoise that was 94k, and Miraidon ended up hitting that 100k mark. And I think it just demonstrates the amount of brawls we had throughout this match. Nonetheless, looking at the graph, T3 locked down every single objective that match.
Yeah, they did. They started out with that bottom Reggie and that top Regieleki, and they were able to just carry that momentum continually throughout the rest of the match. We can see here, once again, this is the first Regieleki spawning and then pushing it into this tier 1 goal. Espeon, did you see the eject button Espeon Unite? I didn't even catch it the first time. What an amazing play there from Sobi.
Yeah, such an incredible play. I think that's the brilliance of using eject button with moves like that. I guess, you normally see, say, a Blastoise with that eject button. That way you can just close up the distance. Believe you can even do some cool tech with the Cerulege and eject button Unite move as well. So I guess it's going to show whether they end up signing up for UCS. I'm hoping they end up signing up for UCS, what we are in for. But you know what? As I mentioned, a great start to the UBH Fight Nights. Over here, it is a best of 3, so it's not over for Rally Esports just yet. But oh my gosh, this was such an insane fight here. Garchomp picking up that 4 KO streak, and then Mimikyu also just wrecking house and really dominating the field.
Absolutely. The way that T3 was able to continue to pressure them in that corridor, in that bottom right corridor, as they were able to push them out of that center area to get to the Ray, such an aggressive move, but a solid position. So let's see how Rally Esports is going to be able to pivot here. They've chosen to go into the purple side, T3 taking your orange side. Rally Esports immediately banning out that Mimikyu and the Umbreon. We've seen this ban coming from a lot of teams here in the past. Umbreon, a solid poke. And Darkrai, get out of here. Nobody wants you. No,
you do not want to let Darkrai through. However, we have a Miraidon ban onto Arg here. So, Psyduck is let out of jail. Will we end up getting to see that yellow duck come on through, super hovering over it? You know what? If it isn't banned, you might as well pick it up first. But that is going to give the chance for T3 to pick up the ever-sorted eggs. Oh, no, they're going to pick up Hooper this time round.
This is an interesting choice. Also, yes, free the duck. We finally get to have Psyduck on stream with the triple classes. Hoopa is likely one of the top 3 supporters, in my opinion, right? It's going to go Blissey, Eldegoss sort of like are tied for me. And then if either of them are banned or taken, you got to go the Hoopa. Its ability to create so much momentum on the map. I think I talk about this every time I cast a tournament. The Hoopa mobility is huge. Pure coming in here with the Trev. Trev's still consistently one of the best defenders in this game for its CC and its sustain. Matt grabbing that Blissey, Cocodrillo on the Slowbro, and Zealot looks to be cycling through some potential all-rounders. Coming in with the Zacian. Ooh.
I have actually really been loving watching Zacian gameplay. It has been absolutely insane. I mean, looking at the amount that their moves do, I know the description on Unite DB are super duper long. So, really, Zacian can do so much, and you pair it up with a Blaziken for that secure. You cannot go wrong with an overheat secure. But, I mean, speaking about secure, Spirit Shackle Decidueye potentially here with Dalwi? Or are we going to see Razor Leaf? What do you think about this pick? I know Draco is probably just bouncing up in his chair right now, seeing his bird.
Absolutely. I think Dalwi is picking the Decidueye here as a counter pick to the Secure from both the Zacian's Unite move and the Blaziken Blaze Kick. We know those are solid Secures in this game. TTV Supa SP coming in on that Garchomp, and Sobi moving off the Espeon into a Pikachu, which is another one of the top picked Pokemon from LAIC, one of the top picked Pokemon, number 4, 45%. Pikachu, after these buffs, has been an amazing mage for Team Comp.
Yeah, I know it ended up receiving that nerf in the latest patch, but it just goes to show that it is still such a strong pickup. I guess Volt Tackle is such a disruptive move, and whether they do end up pairing it with that Electro Ball, the sure hit move to just go and chase them down, but even the Thunder moveset for that AoE damage can be so viable, and you pair it up with that Cursed Incense as well, that is really going to disrupt the healing from that Blissey. But you know what I'm looking forward to? I mean, yeah, Pikachu may be yellow, but the other yellow Pokemon on the opposite side, Psyduck. This is going to be the first time that we are going to see Psyduck on the field in the competitive scene. So, we were talking about the movesets a bit earlier, whether they're going to end up picking Psychic or Disable. I mean, putting that extra 3 seconds on the cooldowns could really disrupt T3 here.
Absolutely. If you can time it right and hit that extra 3-second cooldown on a specific move, like we were talking about earlier, if you can hit that Blissey soft-boiled with that Disable and stop that healing for just 3 seconds more, could be enough to secure that team fight and secure that win. But let's see what they end up going with here as we start this game 2. Rally Esports, your purple team. T3, your orange team. It looks like Rally Esports has that Decidueye going into the center lane. Psyduck on the bottom lane. Chansey Garchomp in the top lane. So we've got Psyduck and the Slowbro here. T3 has Blaziken in the jungle, taking on a City Farm. Hoopa coming in here with this counter jungle as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was Crocodrillo that ended up doing it last time with the Snorlax, so you've just got to give them a taste of their own medicine. But we do have Rowlet still locking in that red buff, and we have Azmat coming on in for that assistance, but a great eject button. Is Tie-Dye going to be able to get out of here? No, they don't. The leaves are just too strong from that Rowlet. He's just a little rambly.
He's just a little rambly, yeah. Dalwi said, no, if you're going to eject button, so am I. We're going to have to chase you down. And that Hoopa not able to get out until it gets its hyperspace hole, which it was not able to. Psyduck and Slowbro coming in, getting a little bit of scores here. Just 24 points on this bottom tier 1 goal. Trying to take what indeed they can here from the Trev as well. Going to have to eject button out. Pikachu coming back down. And the Rowlet for Rally Esports has rotated down to the bottom lane. Hoopa opening that portal. Are they going to be able to come down here in time? Pikachu looking really low. Drops a little bit of that Thunder as Blaziken rotates down as well. T3 pushing this tier 1 goal. Are they able to get any momentum out of this?
Oh, rotating on down. Pikachu is needing to back on out as they are super duper low. Hoopa gets knocked out. However, a great Blaze Kick to finish off that Slowbro. At least they were able to pick themselves up a KO. Otherwise, we do have Zella up in the top path on that Zacian. Level 6 going up a level 3. Up against a level 3 Chansey. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this Zacian level 6 is bullying this Chansey. Still not able to evolve yet into a Blissey as it needs to get some sort of KO on some last wild Pokemon. Hoopa teleporting back up to support the Zacian. Blaziken in the center. These birds are going to go out pretty quick to that Blaze Kick, and there it goes Pikachu helping out with the Thunder. Blaziken going to chase down this Rowlet as fast as they can. Hoopa dropping the hyperspace hole, going to get that Blaziken out in order to survive. Going to port back in to the center. Zacian dives on into the Garchomp, and it drops so quickly in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, they really got eliminated their 2 KO streak for a non, finishing off that Decidueye, but level 9 already. It's going to be able to switch up those moves as needed, the cooldowns. We do actually have a Safeguard Blissey this time round, rather than the X.
I think Safeguard Blissey is a good choice here because if you go Helping Hand on that Garchomp, the Garchomp needs to keep its basic attacks up high enough to be able to hit fast, and the Safeguard really helps with that, and it's able to, well, the Helping Hand helps with that, and the Safeguard's going to get it out of any tight spots. Blaziken taking a Speed Berry, going to move down here. T3 dropping down onto this bottom tier 1 goal. Blaziken coming on the slow bow, takes it down back to the Pokemon Center, and Psyduck coming in with the Surf, trying to stop them and push them away from this goal. Hoopa drops the Hyperspace Hole. We got a few porting back onto the home base. And Zacian takes the Regieleki up top solo while this team fight is happening down below. Pikachu needing to eject button out before it drops. There's the knock from Decidueye. Is it going to be able to take it? No! It goes to the Blaziken Blaze Kick.
We were talking about overheat. Secure. You just cannot go wrong with it. Otherwise, Decidueye has picked up a 2 KO streak, a 3 KO streak, or actually no, Blissey ended up locking that in. And that is going to give them the chance to go and break that tier 1. Blaziken has also gone in with a counter score of their own. A Bliss Assistance to just give it to the bird, hoping that they just sustain that little bit longer. But Blissey is the one that ends up paying the price there now. Decidueye's left all alone. Nonetheless, they still take out the Blaziken, and it's just knockouts left, right, and center here, Cop.
Yeah, this is very much a back and forth here. T3 is doing quite well, but Rally Esports is saying, hey, we know what you've got. We're ready to fight here. We are ready to bring a battle here at Unite Battle Hub. T3, 127 points. Rally Esports, 82 points. We're almost at the 5-minute mark. And Psyduck coming in on this Hoopa, trying to get a little bit of a serve happening. It's going to try to escape as best it can, but it's got 3 members of T3 on it. Is it going to be able to get out in time? Look at it go! Oh my goodness, the safeguard from the Blissey, able to get it out in time. Run, little Psyduck, run!
This is why I absolutely love Psyduck. The swift swim to just avoid the horn. I think it was the horn leech of the Trevenant, and then the safeguard making it out with the surf. That is one swift duck indeed. As we do have another brawl going on out. We have the Hoops Underbound coming out from Tie-Dye just to apply a bit more pressure with those fists, getting those KOs over on the side of Rally Esports. But Slowbro, the one left standing here, defending this goal that is left on 30 points.
30 points indeed, and T3 is making such an aggressive push on this tier 1 goal. It is the only one that Rally Esports has left in this bottom lane. We have 3 seconds to a bottom Regieleki, and that's the thing. T3 is able to continue the offensive as long as they're able to hop into that Hoopa Hyperspace hole, get back to the Pokemon Center, and get back in time. Regirock gonna go down pretty quickly to the Pikachu Thunderbolt over onto the T3 side. There they go. Disappear back through the hole and back into this tier 1 goal. We're gonna continue our offensive as the Blaziken ends up taking the Regieleki from the Garchomp in the top lane.
Look, I've got to say, it is Durst to impress for Fight Night with that Holoware. It definitely has it down. Otherwise, Hoopa ends up getting knocked out by the Psyduck. Meantime, we do have that Regieleki crashing up into that top path. Anon with 42 points ends up getting Dragon Rush. Rushes on forward, though, and is still able to get in their points, yet paying the cost of going back to the Pokemon Center.
Absolutely, pushing that. I think it's worth it. Pushing that point lead a little bit further ahead for T3, 204 to 112. Zacian coming in, dunking more points. The Decidueye knock as the Zacian body blocks as much of the knock as it can to try and get the Pikachu to score. Wasn't able to. Pikachu takes some damage and is out of this lane as fast as it can go. It's so low in health, but it's going to likely go farm what it can, get back to the Pokemon Center. Zacian also porting back. Hoopa in this top lane, holding down the top goal as much as it can. And it looks like both teams are trying to find their way, trying to figure out, is there any open wild Pokemon here on the map we can take? T3 going to come here in on these birds in this top lane. Garchomp going to contest that as well. But we're at 3 minutes right now. Trev trying to get a score in, not able to, says, I gotta go. But 4 members of Rally Esports says, nah, you're not going anywhere.
When a lone tree gets knocked down in the forest, does it make a noise? I'm unsure, as it was left all alone against 4 members. But you know what? because of that distraction, T3 were able to send the rest of the members to go and get rid of that tier 2 pad. So that is actually going to be a massive risk for Rally Esports, because if T3 secure this next Reggie Alecki, that could potentially be a home base Reggie.
Absolutely, and Rally Esports knows it. They know that they have to have the team fight up here for this Reggie Lecky, because if T3 secures it, it's going to push to that home base. And it looks like we have 2 members down for T3 already, the Trevenant and the Hoopa. The Reggie Lecky fight has erupted. Slowbro able to take it. Rally Esports able to defend their home base. That Reggie Lecky's going to push into the top tier goal, but T3 says, it's fine, we don't really care about it. We got 2 minutes, we got a few seconds here to Rayquaza.
Oh, but Blissey already ended up popping their heads onto that Psyduck there. Decidueye also popping out there, Knock, trying to get some KOs, but 2 members of Rally Esports are down. Psyduck here using their Unite move. Nonetheless, it wasn't able to help him out, as we have T3 shredding on down that Rayquaza, locking down that objective and rushing forward with those shields. Blissey, nowhere in sight. Instead, it's dunking 56 points up in the top half.
Just a little dunk, just a little bit, but yeah, T3 reining in points here into these goals. Looks like they're going to be able to take this second match. Honestly, I think that Rally Esports, the Decidueye here, that early Knock trying to, I don't know if they were trying to rip the Ray or trying to deal as much damage to T3 as they could, but that is one of their useful secures that they burned pretty early into that team fight. But now we see this Psyduck trying to defend this bottom goal. Hoopa still got a shield, but no points. Trev dunking another 12 just for the sake of it, and Psyduck with this serve able to take out the Pikachu, but T3 drops him down. And wait a second, do we have a Razor Leaf Decidueye?
Yeah, it was. It was a Razor Leaf.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. It wasn't
Wow.
Spirit Shackle. Oh.
Wow.
Which is, I guess, going into, the 2 all-rounders, Blaziken and the Zacian, running for that year, along with a Trevenant. It makes sense just trying to get a little bit more shred, rather than, trying to land those Spirit Shackles and stay in the back line. So, but you know what? I think safe to say T3 have this one in the bag at 733 points, and Rally Esports, they're aware of that. They just want to go GG next one, please.
And yep, there is the surrender. Now that it's a Razor Leaf Decidueye on top of that guard jump, I completely understand the Blissey safeguard option there, trying to keep them alive, as they really were banking on the shred to get through T3's line, but weren't able to do it. Looks like we got Anon here, Blaziken, 11 KOs, and the Hoopa, 13 assists. Very, very good here for Tie-Dye. T3, solid play.
It was a very solid play. I mean, Anon on the Blaziken was level 11 before the 5-minute mark, which is absolutely wild. But you know what? We're talking about Razor Leaf Decidueye. Really did try its hardest to shred it on down through tier 3, 107k damage. Fortunately, it just wasn't enough. In the end, come that final stretch, at least this time round, Rally Esports were able to pick up themselves up one objective off the map.
Absolutely. I'm going to go through some replays here. This early push on this bottom 2-1 goal. The Birds coming in, Hoopa dropping this portal, but T3 losing the Trev early on. And you can see, like, what I love about this game was that there was a lot more back and forth between both teams instead of the such aggression we saw out of Tier 3 in Game 1. I feel like Rally Esports really put up a great fight, but I think for me, the Hoopa was so clutch in every single team match that we saw in this game, being able to port most of them back, keep that pressure on, and that's what T3 looks like. That's what they want. They want to continue pressure on their opponent.
Yeah, I mean, just the Hoopa portals, to the placement of them to get them out of dodge. I mean, just demonstrated there to get out of the way of Super, reset those members. It just happened time and time again. But even then, going into the Rings Unbound form as well, just to get those extra bit of stuns, the extra bit of pressure. And I don't actually think they ended up teleporting their team. They were all down at the bottom when they ended up popping it. But it was, yeah, that was such a great first set to our Fight Nights Cop. I'm really excited to see just the rest of the matches that we end up seeing today as well. I mean, this Blaziken going in and dunking that 42. Mind you, they ended up paying the prize, but as I said, it was worth it.
It was worth it. It was such a flex. And here we go. There's the Ray fight, that knock coming in early. But T3 just going around the Trev stunning. And they looks like they lost Slowbro and Garchomp right there immediately into that team fight. And from there was no coming back for Rally Esports. But yeah, a perfect start to our fight night because those both were such amazing fights, right? That's what we're here for. And I'm excited to see what else we got coming in for this round, Kello. That was exciting. My heart's beating a little bit. I'm like, all right, we're back. We're doing it. Here we go. And we got to see Psyduck. What did you think?
Yes, it didn't end up winning the match, but there were some moments there where it was just like, wow, Psyduck is so good. AKA that passive, that giving that moment invincibility status, but it's also the ability to push back opponents and create space not just for itself but also for its allies as well. I mean, it is the newest Pokemon to hit the fray, so obviously there's still going to be a bit of time to work it on out and work out how best to utilize Psyduck, and I think it's good that we actually got to see it in action here. What about you?
I very much enjoyed seeing it. I think the Disable was super useful. The Serve able to provide a little bit of push for sure. I'm not sure how much impact it provided for most of the team fights. Like, it wasn't able to really highlight a moment that says that's Psyduck really making momentum or making a push, but it was exciting to see it on screen. And it looks like we're going to be going to a break here as well as we get set up for our next game. So stay tuned, chat. Do not go anywhere.
I hope you folks are ready to rumble as we are about to head on into our second round over at Unite Battle Hub's Fight Night for the NA region. For those folks that are just joining us, I'm Kellosaurus. We have the wonderful casters Draku-san and Cop, of course. Now, Draku, you were in the back lines. How did you find that first set?
You know me, Decidueye, one of my favorite Pokemon to play, and been very vocal about my disdain for Razor Leaf particularly. It can do well in some compositions, but I feel like Razor Leaf Decidueye and that Garchomp kind of filled the same niche auto attack in that short range. And if you saw what T3 was building, they had a lot of mid-range pressure. They had Pikachu with Thunderbolt, Thunder, Trevenant, of course, and you had Blaziken and Zacian just do so much damage in that mid-range. I feel like Decidueye, even with a safeguard to maybe cleanse some of those crowd control abilities that T3 had on their team, just not enough healing on their side. It does have good lifesteal, but with all that pressure in that mid-range, it just couldn't stay around for very long. Had a lot of damage, over 100,000 damage done, but I feel like it did take a lot of knockouts just trying to do that amount of damage, in my opinion.
So you know what? I think that's the definition of Fight Night. Just hack at each other. You got to brawl. You got to get the KOs. You got to get yourself dirty. Otherwise, we have Tempotion? Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Going up against Table. Now, do you think there's going to be any tables being flipped here? Cop up in this next round.
I don't know where there's an IKEA in the Thea Sky Ruins, but I'm excited to see if we get anything furnished so we can flip some tables. I am excited. Both these teams seem very interesting. Tempotion is Datboy Muck's coming in with his team, and I love Datboy Muck. He's one of my favorite players out there, so I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the table. Maybe we get to see Psyduck again. Maybe it gets found out. I don't know.
I actually know a Pokemon they could bring to the table that has tables and chairs. May we see a Poltergeist Chandelure? Maybe. I don't know, but we're going to head on into our first round here, our ban phase. Now, I mean, we've seen Darkrai being banned time and time again for the first 2 rounds. Blissey, and it be hot off the press. No Blissey this round, and Psyduck. What do you think about this, Draku?
Yeah, lots of supporters heading up to that ban slot. I think Psyduck somewhat flexes into more of a defender type supporter. You know, like Sableye, for example, is definitely not your traditional healing type supporter. And when you see a Blissey on that ban slot, you definitely want to lock in Hoopa or maybe Eldegoss as your first picks here. But Tempotion going for a very aggressive start. Leafeon. It's probably one of the only speedsters, in my opinion, that is arguably one of the best first picks speedsters that you can select in Pokemon Unite.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I guess speedsters aren't really one that you end up seeing quite often. So picking that up. Otherwise, it looks like Table are going to counter on back with Miraidon. That has been such a popular pick as of late, as we saw during LAIC. And Curtin is going to lock in Umbreon as well. Versatility, depending on which moveset you go with, both doing such a great job. But what do you think about this counter here with the Gyarados pick here, Cop?
Gyarados is a high-risk, high-reward Pokemon. I believe I've said it before on Unite Battle Hub, but you got to get it in that first 2 minutes. If you don't have a Gyarados before that 8-minute mark, you are behind, and it is going to cause your team a lot of trouble. But once it gets there, it is a house, it is a truck, it is a train, it is a large moving object that you need to stay far away from and out of its front line. But Duskrunner here coming in with an Eldegoss, a solid supporter, one of the top 3s that we talked about earlier, and Blueberry on a could be a Caesar, could be a Scyther.
This is an all-rounder pick that you'd normally see being picked up. I guess Scyther playing more that speedster role. Do you think this is to counter that Leafeon pick here, Draku?
I think so. Scyther just does quite a bit of damage, and I know quite a bit about this player, Blueberry GM. They're on a team currently named Brouhaha, part of a league that I host over on the Luminosity Unite server. They are also a champion for that league, and they are definitely a player to watch for this UCS season on Scyther specifically. There are a number of players that play Scyther very proficiently. I'm thinking Parasite. Anysus from Latam North does really well with Scyther, and I also think Blueberry GM is another Scyther player to really watch out for. But very high tempo team on the side of Table. They have both Scyther, the speedster most likely going to be coming out, and also Dodrio. Kello. Don't really see a double speedster composition, but what do you think about that as we head to the final preparations of these teams?
I'm thinking we might potentially end up getting the size of pick here. maybe just that more all-roundy, brawly type, high sustain composition, considering they have picked up this Dodrio. Going in with a Scyther, I think might be a bit risky, as they'll be quite squishy besides that Umbreon. But you know what? We're gonna send it on through to that once they are locked and loaded. Overall, Cop, what do you think about these two compositions?
I think this is a very fascinating composition for table. I do think now that we have that Dodrio coming in, it could potentially be a Caesar with that weakness policy, but I think Tempotion, they've got more secure, at least with the Dragonite, on that Hyper Beam and that Unite. They've got a really solid defender on the Snorlax, so Tempotion seems to be a little bit more of a well-rounded team. Table seems to be bringing some spice, and let's see how those teams go up together in this fight night.
We've got to talk about that Dragonite as well, but we are going to head on into our game. I'm going to leave you folks with a Dracu and Cop to cast this one out for you.
Alrighty, Cop. Going into round number 2 of our fight night of our Swiss stage tournament for today. Tempotion on our purple side. Table. So we're going to try to flip some tables on this side of our orange team on the right side here. Dojo in the bottom path. You don't see this very often. Able to get a couple of stacks for themselves. It's going to be kind of difficult to out-secure a Snorlax, in my opinion, Cop.
Yeah, bottom lane duo here, very interesting. It's got a first stack in, but it's going to be a little hard to get in there, get what it needs, and get out with that Snorlax. Such a wall. The Leafeon here for Tempotion already finished its jungle rotation, rotating up to support this Magikarp here as Tempotion really needs this Gyarados online. But Scyther, Blueberry GM, coming in, and it's going to take down the Leafeon from the Miraidon. What a quick, swift KO.
Yeah, dual wing beam plus that execute does so much damage in that mid-range. A KO shriek of 2 for Table. All that experience handed over to that Miraidon, but they do have an EXP share. Take a look at this, Cop. I know a lot of Asia teams in particular have been experimenting with a number of supporters, or at least attackers, holding on that light bulb. Miraidon being one of them, Mew also another one of those, and I know Pikachu has also been experimented with an EXP share.
Absolutely. This trend is very interesting to me because what it does offer is it offers more damage from your supporter side. It offers range. It offers something else that most supporters don't provide. And it's proven to be very useful as this Miraidon is doing very well with Eldegoss and the Dodrio coming in, taking down the Dragonair from the Dodrio. And Table's going to dunk us a bit more points in. 103-4 here at this 8-minute mark. Leafeon trying to come up and find a way around. And not going to find it. Gyarados online for Tempotion. Dracu.
Yeah, center Swablu is on the field. Snorlax is going to get a KO here. It's not going to matter a whole lot because it was just that, again, EXP share, holding character tend to not have a whole lot of experience if you tend to KO. And I believe this is a carry Snorlax I saw. I don't think I saw an EXP share on this Snorlax, so definitely different flavors of characters we're seeing on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in this. This is extremely exciting. Scyther taking down the Hoopa once again. Table continuing to push this aggressive advantage here. They have such high spike damage on these enemy team fights as Tempotion waiting for the Dragonite to come online in the bottom lane, taking what farm it can, clearly. Scyther and Miraidon moving through the center lane. Miraidon gonna try and poke this this farm in the center, not gonna be able to take it. Gonna move on because there are birds in the center of the bottom lane here. We have a team fight come down. Eldegoss trying to get out. Its health a little bit low. Scyther diving in, Miraidon charge beam. Miraidon gonna take down the Snorlax as well, and Table is gonna continue to push on this bottom tier 1 goal. Are they going to close it though? Yes, they're gonna close it with Scyther dunking in an overdunk of 32.
Yeah, I was mistaken. This is a more traditional defender Snorlax with an EXP share. I think this early game lead for Tempotion, or at least for Table, my apologies once again, is to be expected. They do need that Dragonite to get to level 8. It's rather slow in the tempo category. On the other side, though, we have Scyther and Dojo get online very, very quickly. So the game doesn't really start until this character unlocks that ability right there. Hyper Beam has always been such a really strong form of secure and a really consistent form of damage for them as well.
Ooh, the Dodrio Unite, they're trying to get the knockup before they can get through the hyperspace, so not going to be able to get it. Umbreon diving through with the Snarl. Leafeon's going to go down. Snorlax trying to block out the team here. And Tempotion, 3 members down as that Scyther and Eldegoss move into the jungle, taking out what they can. It's Eldegoss trying to get 17 points, not going to be able to make it. The Snorlax block trying to isolate it from the team, separate the support from the team so that they can try to make a push onto table without the healing and the shields. They're not going to be able to make it. We still have a Regieleki in that top lane. Dragonite moving in on it.
Yeah, I do really love this double speedster composition. Again, they have that healing support with that Eldegoss, but these two speedsters also have passive healing as well. That dual wing beat healing that Scyther, the abilities for Dodrio also healing it as well. They also have a range form of secure with that dual wing beat, able to take the Regieleki, now going to that tier 1 comp.
Yeah, absolutely. Gyarados going to try to do anything it can against the Scyther. Scyther's going to drop it. And Tempotion is deciding, do they let this Regieleki crash or not? If they do, it's only going to be a 20 points at that. But Scyther dropping a 2 KO streak. Leafeon goes down. If Tempotion doesn't get this Regieleki off the board, it could be a massive overdunk for Table, and they know that. Hyper Beam coming in. Dragonite gets the Regieleki off the board, but Table says, we are not done here.
Blueberry GM actually going to approach once again. They are going to escape on 1 HP and still doing a lot of damage with that dual wing beat. Level 12 on your Scyther is definitely a very significant Pokemon on the field. With 4 minutes or halfway through the field, the character we still have needs to get online is this Leafeon. I hate to say that, it's it's an early game scaler, but it's really struggled in this first half of the game.
Absolutely. I think Table knows that. I think Table knows that we've got to keep the Leafeon at bay. They are all in double digits on their levels, and Tempotion is still a little bit behind their defender Snorlax and Hoopa, only level 9. Bottom, Regice has spawned. Table taking it on their own right now. Dodrio seemingly just going to hang out, not going to make a full move on it until the rest of the team gets here. Looks like Scyther and Dodrio might be taking it together. The Umbreon having to X-speed out away from the Leafeon. Miraidon defending this top 1 goal. The Hoopa Unbound has been popped, and they are trying to make a top tier push on this goal. Miraidon backing up. Is this going to be the momentum Tempotion needs at the 4-minute mark?
I love this play by Table. They see that Tempotion is pushing the tier 1 goals, and they're quite literally flipping the script, flipping the table on the score by breaking that tier 2 goals in the bottom path. Cop, that is going to blow this lead wide open, more than doubling the score of Tempotion. 3-1-4 to 1-3-4. Little dyslexic number swapping there, but this is a very significant lead by Table as we head into the last quarter of the game.
Absolutely significant lead and significant team fight with Tempotion 4 members down as they close that tier 1 goal as well. Going to move in on the Regieleki to push into that tier 2 top lane goal. I mean, Table's got it, right? They don't need to do anything at this Rayquaza. They just need to defend and continue to be as efficient with these team fights as they have been in the past 7 minutes of this match, and they're going to be fine. And Tempotion, they've got to figure out how to get some momentum, got to figure out how to make a move, get some KOs. Snorlax blocking out this Umbreon, but they're not even... Table doesn't look like they're going to even push this Regieleki. They're just going to let them take it and distract them while they do something else.
As we have 1 minute left before the final stretch of our Game 1, Round 2 of our Fight Night showdown between these two teams, let's talk a couple of seconds here about win conditions. Obviously, Table up quite significantly in score. Tempotion, though, has one thing in their back pocket to gamble. That is their securing ability across their team. They have really good secure with Dragonite, obviously. They have good secure with Leafeon. Even just retracting those Razor leaves, it's a really good form of secure. Snorlax has Heavy Slam, for example, to maybe displace some of the team on the side of Table as they go for that secure. Gyarados has that Unite move as well. It's pretty devastating. But Dragonite has to be the leader here. That is the character to take down objectives and secure it as it farms on the field.
Absolutely. You can see both teams trying to figure out where they're going to position themselves. Tempotion trying to come in with a flank on this Gyarados. This is the move that they need to make. They've got to get back and around to Table to hit this backline. No, the Gyarados is going to potentially going to backcap here. This is a super risky move from Tim Potion. I don't think the points are going to be enough to close the gap. Hoopa dropping the hyperspace portal. The Dragon Knight makes it through the portal despite the knockup from that Cotton Guard and the Eldegoss, and Dodrio is going to try to chase down the Snorlax. They just need to keep them zoned, right? Gyarados moving up and around. Is it going to be able to come back and close the gap between them, make the flank? No, instead, they're just going to push them through the corridor table saying, you know what, we're coming in, we got you.
Yeah, Hoopa doing a really good job of resetting the players that are being ripped by this Miraidon. Miraidon gonna try to look into the future with this bright future meteor storm, bringing down the airstrike from the heavens, but a KO streak of 3 for Tables definitely going to lead them to victory here. But 3 members down on the side of Temp Potion. Hoopa into that Hoopa Hyper, that Hoopa Unite move, and Tables should have free reign on this Rayquaza to take this one off of the field.
Yeah, Snorlax was trying to wait for the moment there to try and claim this Rayquaza. Hoopa popped the Unbound, but it was too late in order to provide enough CC for that team fight. And yeah, the surrender comes in from Tim Potion, and Table takes our game 1 here in this round 2. My goodness, that was such a fight. We have, 363 our final score, 192. Let's look at these stats, Draku. What do we got?
11 KOs on your Dodrio is your KO leader of the game. It's to be expected by most speedsters. Tend to pick up a lot of very high, very quick, swift KOs. Not a whole lot of damage on either team, but it makes sense because you KO them very fast. For these long and extended team fights would go in favor of Temp Potion, but these speedsters did a fantastic job at leaning in, leveraging in to their early game dominance, and they were just too far ahead for Temp Potion to catch up.
Yeah, what I loved about this table team comp is their ability to dive in and dive out really quickly. Temp Potion was looking to maybe try to get some longer team fights, some longer sustain with the Dragonite and the Snorlax, but Table was like, we're not here for a long fight. We're here for a good time, not a long time, and that proved to work for them in their favor.
Yeah, the one thing about Dragonite is that you need some longer teamfight engagements to build up the damage on your Hyper Beam. You need to get those Dragon Dance stacks up. I believe you need 3. That's the most amount you can use into one Hyper Beam. But like we were saying, these speedsters, high tempo, very fast. They are in and out, do massive amounts of damage, and then they are out. And by the time that this Dragonite even has time to get that Hyper Beam to full velocity, well, the speedsters are already done their damage and they're on the other way out.
Absolutely. You can say the same thing about the Snorlax here with the block. It's trying to block out the Tables team, but the speedster's just going to go around that Snorlax, go around that block, not going to be enough. I love the Umbreon here as well from Duskrunner. It was running the Snarl and the Foul Play to add a lot of CC, and Foul Play is such an amazing move up against these strong physical attackers like Dragonite and Gyarados. So shout out to Duskrunner for providing the CC that's getting these KOs and getting these kills for these speedsters out here.
Yeah, honestly, this is just a beautiful draft by Table. If we remember back to the draft of Temp Potion, Snorlax was picked very early on, and Snorlax not probably the best to go into speedsters, but definitely not into 2 speedsters, right? Heavy Slam really well, that locking down one specific character, but going into game number 2, I would like to see Temp Potion maybe respond with more crowd control. But again, with all this information on the side on the field now, I'm excited to see what Table decides to do here for their draft, knowing that Temp Potion maybe is expecting them to go another high velocity, high tempo composition.
Yeah, and Table very smart here, taking the Umbreon in the draft. One of the best answers to a speedster, especially something like a Dodrio, is that mean look Umbreon, but Table went ahead and grabbed it super early. And the Snorlax, I feel like if you're going to make the Snorlax work in this team comp, it actually has to go Yawn, which is not a very commonly seen move here in these brackets. But it looks like we're going to our draft here for round 2, for game 2 of this round 2. Blissey immediate ban from Team Potion, and Psyduck, Table banning Psyduck as well. They do not want to see this beautiful yellow amazing duck out on the board. Mimikyu we saw banned earlier in game 1, and here it is for game 2.
Exact same bans for both teams, expecting a Miraidon from Blueberry GM. These are the same exact 4 characters. And I feel like, banning Mimikyu on the side of Temp Potion definitely kind of bit them on the side. Mimikyu is definitely one of the best counters to Speedsters with that Bounded Unite move, and generally just Bounded Unite moves do really well into Speedsters. They do a lot of damage onto one singular target, whereas Speedsters don't have a whole vast volume of HP. So see if this might bite them in the butt once again, but this is a very similar start that we're seeing from Temp Potion. Same bans, same first picks. And what do you think about this, Cop?
I am not sure if I agree with this, but let's see what else plays out here. And yeah, I agree with you. The best answer to a Speedster can be a Speedster. Mimikyu axes that with the Shadow Sneak and does a lot of damage really quickly. Beats by Brian picking the Dodrio out from table this time, and Real Player 1 coming in with the Eldegoss. We saw that was very useful for table in game 1. Eldegoss, it's so useful with its ability to crowd control, but also provide shields and healing for the team.
Yeah, these third and fourth picks for Temp Potion, different than game number 1. They're taking both the Eldegoss and that Dodrio away from Table. Table picked up that Eldegoss as their first pick option in the most recent draft, but definitely a different look for Table. And the Pokemon that they're selecting here, Miraidon, Umbreon, still the same Pokemon. Snorlax was on Temp Potion, this time on the side of Table. I think they're going to be leaning more into a ranged type composition. 2 artillery type units in the back line with the Miraidon and Espeon, but this time Espeon is going to be holding on to that EXP share. Still a really strong form of secure with Psyshock, and Miraidon this time going to be dishing out that damage with that Charge Beam most likely.
Yeah, and that XP share Espeon is exactly what we talked about in round 1. It is a ranged attacker that is able to provide a little bit of support to the team with that XP share in those lanes. Blueberry GM hovering this site there again. We saw it work very well for them last time, but no, we are going with an Absol this time. Draku, is this a common pick for Blueberry as well?
I believe so, and I love Absol into other Speedsters particularly because you can lock into them with some of your boosted autos, following some of your abilities. You also have a Unite move that is completely invincible throughout its entire duration. I really love this Absol as a 10th pick option, and it's kind of why Speedsters do really well at the later stages of draft, because you don't have any opportunity, especially if it's picked in the 10th pick slot, to counter against it. Right? And so if you're looking at Temp Potion, though, I do really like the adaptation of bringing the Glaceon here. This is the traditional tank buster type Pokemon. Does so much damage in that short to medium range with Icicle Spears, and do lots of damage into that Snorlax and the Umbreon that's going to be in that mid to short range, as we've seen before.
Yeah, absolutely, and a sure hit too. Absol is one of my favorite Speedsters. I recently just started playing it, and the crit damage that it can do on those backline pokes is so good. And if you go the pursuit route, the dash in, dash out, you can get some quick KOs pretty quickly. So we might see that happening here. Absol going after specifically either that Leafeon or that Dodrio or that Glaceon. Very excited.
Yeah, definitely a lot of relationships we can talk about between these two team comps, but I think if we can boil it down to one thing, it's definitely going to be a cat and mouse game. Cats and mouses. Mice? Cats and mice game.
Cats and mice,
between
yeah.
the two teams, 2 Speedsters on the side of Temp Potion. 2 mice on the side of table, that Miraidon and Espeon. Another cat on the side of table with the Absol trying to lock in on that Glaceon. So it's definitely going to be the relationships that we're going to be looking for. Can those Speedsters in particular get to the attackers on the other side?
Yeah, and it looks like Absol already starting to get the jungle that it needs to. Miraidon and Snorlax making an early aggressive push here in this bottom lane against Temp Potion, trying to take what farm they can so that this Glaceon doesn't get online anytime soon. And it looks like they were not successful in taking that Indeedee. So the contested farm not going to be able to go to table side. And there we go. All the Indeedee are gone in the bottom lane. Absol rotating up to the top lane here to support table as the Leafeon for Temp Potion also has rotated up to the top lane. Snorlax getting really low here, but it's going to be able to make it out in time. Both teams just sort of pushing and pulling back and forth, and Absol is here. We have a team fight coming in, but we still don't have an Umbreon for table yet, or an Espeon.
Yeah, some of the evolutions just struggling to get to their level 4 tier 2 evolutions. Glaceon finally getting to Glaceon at level 4 in that bottom path. Lots of representation in this top path for both teams. Table getting a lot of that experience, followed by that Altaria in the center. Blueberry GM going to try to make some room for their team, and Doduo grows one more head into that Hydra bird into the Dodrio.
Yeah, that Umbreon knockout, very good for the Dodrios. It finally has that third head, its ever useful third head. Glaceon rotating down here to try and stop the Miraidon from making this farm. We still have a Trev not evolved yet. It needs to get to this next level, this level 5, as fast as it can. Snorlax and Miraidon returning back to their bottom lane positions here. Absol back in its jungle. We have both teams seeming to reset as we wait for the center bees to spawn, which are coming up here in 8 seconds. Leafeon looking to come in and support the... No, the Glaceon snipes down the Miraidon.
Oh, I hate to see that thing happen and see your goal zone just inches away, but miles away now. Let's head back to the Pokemon Center. Really close game. 1 point separating these two teams with about 45 seconds before the first major objectives. And I think both teams, again, really leaning into their early game dominance with the characters as to be expected. But one character that's really shown out in this early part of the game is Dat Boy Muck on that Glaceon. Now 2 KOs as we head to the first objective, 1 on that Miraidon, and now the Umbreon heading back there as well.
Yeah, that Glaceon already proving to be a solid choice here for Tempotion with those 2 KOs, and everybody is waiting with 20 seconds for both objectives to spawn. Trev gonna take these bees down here as well as the Glaceon, and looks like the Leafeon drops the Snorlax up in the top lane as we have 3 people for Tempotion, 2 for Table, and are they gonna be rotating down to the bottom? It looks like we have a little bit of movement here from Tempotion going into the jungle, trying to bully this Absol a little bit and deny what experience they can, and we have our objective spawning.
Yeah, teams are quite literally everywhere on this map. It looks like Table is prioritizing that top path, sending 3 members up there. 3 members for actually Table is in that bottom path. Tempotion is in the top path. Getting mixed with my colors there. Espeon supporting class attacker for Table, able to pull that one away. Once again, like I was saying before, that ability right there does so much damage, even if it is at a level deficit. You're able to lock in on that one access point with that side shot. You can do so much damage onto wild Pokemon, objectives, and also enemy Pokemon as well.
Yeah, Espeon proving to be very good, having take that objective and then also taking that KO, sending the Glaceon back to the Pokemon Center. And Trev and Snorlax having a little bit of a tussle here, a little defender tussle. They're just gonna like, the block comes up. I think they're just having some fun down there. But Miraidon's working on this Regieleki up top. We have an Electro Drift Miraidon instead of the usual Charge Beam that we see out of it. Table's gonna try and burn it down really quick. That Espeon side shot comes in, Miraidon takes it, and they've got both objectives as Table makes a push here on this top tier goal. Yeah, Miraidon using its Unite, raining down the meteors from the sky, but Dodrio coming through, Espeon Unite also being popped, Trev drops for Tempotion, and the Regieleki is going to walk in.
Oh man, that ability, that secondary ability of the Electro Drift does so much damage, and it's not a sure hit, but it's definitely hard to avoid as you can lock in on characters that are very fast. For example, like the Speedsters, definitely don't want to be locked onto. That Glaceon, definitely don't want to take all that damage. You do like this pick here for the Miraidon specifically. There's not a whole lot of crowd control on the side of Tempotion. There is just that Trevenant. We might be seeing a very similar issue for Tempotion like game number 1, just not enough crowd control with the very fast mobility type Pokemon that Table has on their side. That Absol like we were talking about before, but also this Pokemon right here, Electro Drift, really hard to lock into.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can avoid an Electro Drift, please tell me how, because I'm still struggling to figure out how to not take damage from it, but it's doing exactly what it needs to do, which is diving into that back line, hitting what it can, and then drifting back out. Snorlax taking some of these Icicle Spears off this Glaceon. Trev trying to block Table out from this Registeel. Not going to be able to do it. The Trev activates its Unite, only hits the Snorlax right now, and there we go. Absol takes it with Unite. Snorlax also united. Table really making a push. Umbreon drops, though. They've got the Registeel buff for that increased attack. Are they gonna be able to make any push on this bottom tier 1 goal?
Yeah, that Registeel buff does work really handily for pushing onto goal zones, but Tempotion is pulling out the potions themselves, and maybe an elixir in this bottom path as they continue to push Table back to their side of the field. As we head into the final quarter of this game, let's go ahead and take a look at the field state. Both tier 1 goal zones in the bottom path have been broken, but quite a good lead here for Table, about a 40-odd point lead as we head into the final quarter of the game. But as we see that notification right there, it's a really high-value KO. Highest level on the field for Tempotion, the level 12 Dodrio, going down to the Absol.
Yeah, the Absol needs to be protected here if they're going to try and get any closer to 15 before this Rayquaza spawns, and they cannot drop because it's going to provide so much experience. The Eldegoss trying to check in on table here, but it's going to go down very quickly to the Absol. Wasn't sure if it was going to try to make a move on that goal or not. Trev pushing the Snorlax out of position. Miraidon Unite coming in here. 318 Electro drifting behind Tim Potion. The Emerald two-step from the Leafeon takes down, oh my goodness, Pokemon dropping left and right here. Absol trying to get this Trev, but it's going to be able to get out of there with that Horn Leech. And no, never mind, Absol comes in. That is 2 KOs for the Absol. 3 Pokemon down for Tim Potion, sent back to the Pokemon Center. Absol diving behind the backline, having to unite in order to survive just to get a little bit of a shield. Is it going to be able to get out in time? It does!
Wow, they're able to use the Unite move buff of giving a shield to the Pokemon, but that is a Unite move they will need to hyper farm to make sure they have that for that final stretch. It's a really good trade in my opinion. You know, trade your Unite move, hyper farm a little bit, but that is a level 14 Absol. If you hand that over to the Glaceon, that would be a lot of EXP. But 30 seconds left, Absol is going to be hyper farming, just like last game. Win conditions for the team. Again, Tim Potion, they have to find an answer to these 2 speedster type Pokemon. Absol is always going to be a very scary Pokemon in the tall grass because of its assassin-like characteristics. Same thing with this Miraidon. How do they stop an electro drifting Miraidon around them?
Yeah, Miraidon's also got a 2-9 move as well, as we have Rayquaza spawning here at the 2-minute mark. Glaceon already making a move onto the Snorlax as well as the Trev. Snorlax trying to block to get a little bit of that HP boost. Umbreon tanking the Icicle Spears with that Snarl, protecting the Snorlax so that it can get back to the Pokemon Center, get some health, and re-engage for this team fight. Glaceon looking to defend this bottom tier 1 goal as well as the Leafeon. They know that if Table tries to go down and around for a little extra dip of points, it could put them into the lead. The side shot coming in from the Espeon just to poke at this Trev a little bit. No team is making any really big move on either side. They're both waiting for their opening, and the Electro Drift coming in just to tap the Rayquaza, saying, we know it's here, we're gonna get your attention, you gotta do something about it or else we're gonna stay in the lead here. And Umbreon coming back with that Snarl, Glaceon, Icicle Spears, they're literally just tapping each other back and forth.
Trevenant might be caught out here. A really good reposition there by the Snorlax. Tim Potion just anxiously waiting around their tier 1 goals. And one thing about both teams is that they have a lot of abilities that ramp up, like this Miraidon's Electro Drift, able to get a lot of damage on Tim Potion. They need to find those potions. They need to find the HP because their HP is falling. But the team that is falling and getting flipped on their side is Table. 2 members down. The Absol, the huge KO timer of 30 seconds, will be down, but Tim Potion is behind. They know it. They have the notification, and the rip is on.
Yeah, the rip is on. Tim Potion knows they have to do it. That was such a big unite from the Trev. The Snorlax trying to block out what they can. Miraidon drops to the Eldegoss here. Tim Potion needs to make a move. Umbreon drops as well. That's 3 down for Table as the rip is happening. It is so close. The Trev Horn Leeching the Snorlax away, and Dodrio takes the Rayquaza for Tim Potion. What an amazing move by that Trevenant to make sure the Snorlax can't get that heavy slam off. And congratulations to if they can get enough points in. Yeah, there's the Hondo Burger. I believe Tim Potion is going to be able to get enough points with these Rayquaza shields to take our game 2 in this round 2.
We're looking at a game 3 situation here, and we love our game 3 situations here, don't we? Cough, cough. But
Absolutely.
Tim Potion has definitely found their answer. We were talking about it before the final stretch began. How do we get that Absol? How do we lock down the Miraidon? Well, Miraidon made a very aggressive play, in my opinion. They had their the enhanced version of the Electro Drift ready to go, and they dove directly into the enemy's L-Bush. And, well, it's not really going to put you in a very advantageous position. Tim Potion, I think, lost a character or 2, maybe some HP bars, but somehow Tim Potion was able to find the KOs they needed. Absol was down for something like 45 seconds, then the rest of the team start to fall around them.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part of that long death timer being up and moving around for so long, 45 seconds, a huge detriment to Table at the end. Trev had a wonderful unite there in that last little bit of that Ray fight that was able to hit 3 of Table, and I think that was the big pivot that they needed, the patience that they were waiting for. They're like, we have to find our opening, and that Trev unite was such a solid moment here. Going back, Table really, commanding the beginning of this game here, Absol unite on this first goal, and we saw Table doing very well. They were 40 points ahead for most of the game, but Tim Potion, patience is a virtue.
Yeah. Personally, I would have liked for Beats by Byron to play Drill Peck here, but of course, Beats by Byron is a much proficient Dodrio than I, so probably had some more answer, maybe more comfortability on that character, but we got to get ready for our Game 3 between these two teams. It's definitely going to be a knockout. Well, they're not going to be knocked out of this event, but this is not something you want to miss. Fight Night for Unite Battle Hub will be back very, very shortly.
All right, chat. Welcome back to Unite Battle Hub's Fight Night. We're going into the draft for Game 3 of our second round here between Tim Potion and Table, and the bans are already coming in here. Blissey banned again from Tim Potion, same as round 1, same as round 2, and looks like we might have the Psyduck ban as well, which we saw in the other games as well. So far, exact same, Draku, exact same.
Come on, this is supposed to be where Psyduck gets to be play, just no money on the line. If you're listening and if you're finished with your round 2 set teams, let's sign it go through. Let's see the little duck waddle. Come on.
I love its animation so much. Its waddle is absolutely adorable, but we are not going to be seeing it in this game 3 for round 2. Table says absolutely not, and Real Player looking to come in with this Leafeon. Once again, this has been the same pick one for them every single time. Duskrunner hovering that Umbreon. Draco, are we going to see close to the same, at least the first 2 or 3 choices, same team comp? Is that how these teams are going to do this? Vary it up in the last little bit? Awu confirming Rhydon, and there it is. Umbreon as well for Table. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the exact same draft, at least start of the draft for game number 2. This was an Eldegoss for Kirtan in game number 1, but same exact 5 Pokemon to start the draft between these two teams. I think the Dodrio pick for Tempotion definitely was one of the best steals that they can do. Again, I don't think that there was a whole lot that, Table had to adapt from. I think they played a really good game. They got Absol to level 14, I think level 15 in the final stretch. They're going to be pulling out a Zeraora for this game. You don't see Zeraora all too often. I think there's a lot of teams that are still experimenting with this character. Strangely enough, it was the first character to ever be released in Pokemon Unite, so I think that's really interesting. But it's a speedster that has not had a whole lot of limelight. It was played at Worlds by Luminosity Gaming, and now it's esports. It didn't do very well, but I think it can do well in certain scenarios. I think teams are still trying to figure out how to play the cat, though.
Yeah, the cat, the last time we saw it at Worlds, it was a lot of that, that one-shot build, basically, where it's like, can you unite and let those passives build up with that X attack and just, one-shot a team, but that was so fragile. So maybe Table's bringing a different version of Zeraora here. Duskrunner confirming the Crustle. I think the Rock Tomb is a great choice here, able to trap and isolate, and if that Rhydon goes Charge Beam, or that Zeraora goes, where it does the electric stuff around it, you could really be able to trap Tempotion and take them down pretty quickly. Blueberry back on the Caesar again, and Amok off the Glaceon this time on the Pikachu, which is a consistent pick we've seen from a lot of teams.
Yeah, Pikachu is just such a good attacker. It's very consistent. Its Unite move is incredible. That Thunderstorm. And I'll go back to the Zeraora. I know a lot of viewers tend to not play Zeraora. It has this muscle band. It doesn't have forgetting the name of the energy amplifier. I apologize. It doesn't have an energy amplifier to have the most amount of Unite moves, but that muscle band, it kind of leads me to believe this is going to be a wild charge Zeraora. The way that wild charge works is that it does more damage. It's a longer animation ability when it has stacks of its boosted auto. So I maybe expect to see this Zeraora playing wild charge, and it does really well into teams that tend to scatter a whole lot. It doesn't do really well into teams that tend to clump together, because wild charge can only target one character. Well, you have 2 speedsters on the other side that don't tend to clump around each other or around close to other Pokemon. So we might be seeing definitely a different flavor of Zeraora. Well, we don't see a whole lot of Zeraora. We see them mostly playing Discharge. This is going to be a different flavor of Zeraora as well.
That's the move I was struggling to figure out. So I can struggle with Discharge, you can struggle with Energy Up, but it doesn't matter because we're going into our game 3 for this final one against Table and Tempotion. Scyther in the jungle. Zeraora up top as well with this Eevee, this Umbreon. We have a Doduo in lane again with the Eldegoss. And they're trying to get what farm that they can. Miraidon and Crustle in the bottom lane. Looks like we have a Swinub. The Mammoth one, the Swinub's coming in for the counter jungle on Blueberry on this Scyther, but Zeraora's going to rotate down. Gonna actually take this red buff while it can.
Yeah, I think Blueberry GM was caught sleeping around that Xatu, and, well, can't stop him. Can't stop the pig, because they're able to get that blue buff. They do get KO'd here in the central area, but did waste a lot of time, and it did prevent Blueberry from getting level 5.
Yeah, I was sleeping on it too. I was so focused on the top and bottom lane. I look over, there's a Swinub in my jungle, and I'm like, how did you get here? I need an exterminator. But we've got birds spawning in both the top and bottom lane here. 3 in the lane for table as they quickly take care of those birds. Scyther gonna recall back to the Pokemon Center. Dodrio finally evolved. Leafeon finally evolved for Tempotion. Just gonna poke here at this Umbreon. We've got an Eldegoss as well. Looks like everybody is moving into their second tier evolutions, and Tempotion really just late game was trying to get to this Mamoswine, but for now, both teams getting what farm they can, and Piloswine coming back in for round 2!
Yeah, able to get a blue buff away from Blueberry, definitely being a needle in the side of Blueberry right now in the central area. Really surprised to see this Umbreon go foul play. We saw a very short moment of them using their ability with 2 speedsters on the other side. Very, very surprised to see they go an ability that not go an ability that locks down quite literally these speedster type characters or Pokemon in a circle for 3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Table thought that, well, we've got the Rock Tomb on the Crustle, we don't need the Mean Look, we don't need double Trappers, but I think actually you might indeed need double Trappers here. Zeraroa diving in on the Piloswine, diving back out, and there it is. You see the trap coming in, but Piloswine able to get out in time. Zeraroa might not be able to make it as Pikachu tries to get in. Dodrio coming in, trying to take the Zeraroa. It doesn't, it gets out, it's free, but Umbreon and Scyther drop in that team fight, and Tempotion's got a little bit of momentum here in this bottom lane as we are 20 seconds away from our objective spawning in the top and bottom lane. Birds coming in, Tempotion take what they can while they got it, and Table's just hovering around their goal saying, now we're not going to let you in, everybody's going to get set up and see what happens. Zeraora and Dodrio rotating up to that top together might be contesting this Regieleki.
Both teams taking a pretty significant dispersal to the top path. They had a huge team fight in that bottom path, but now the team fight, the fight club, if you may, come out up here. Really nice Ice Fang finds its way onto the Electric Cat. Bits really struggling to get experience on this Pokemon, only level 7, about to take into level 8, but the character, like a speedster in particular, you do want to try to get some experience. As soon as I say that, though, Caster Curse comes right in favor for Table as the Secure going over to the Cat.
Yeah, Zeraora dives in, takes the Regieleki snipe, and dives back out as they're going to push this top tier goal. Regieleki almost in, it just needs a little bit more, and there it is. 30 points go in, 18 as well. It's 107 in total for Table as we move to this bottom Regi. Pikachu defending the goal here against Umbreon with that Electro Ball. Umbreon Wish. We have a foul play Wish Umbreon, which is providing what healing that Table might need in order to have some sustain.
Table pulling out Luminosity Tech, no traditional healing type supporter on their side of the field. Of course, they have the Umbreon, but it doesn't have that label as a supporting type Pokemon. In the bottom path, Table making a lot of space for their team. I think this Piloswine, unfortunately, is going to be sent back to the pile as Table takes this one off of the field very convincingly.
Yeah, Pikachu tried to drop that Thunderstorm in order to get the Secure. Not going to be able to make it as Pikachu and Leafeon go down for Tempotion. Table going to put some more points in. Do they get a decent enough overdunk? 30, not too bad. Puts them at a 193 to 44 here. Piloswine running in the other direction, trying to get away from the rest of the table, is divided in half between its team. Dodrio is continuing to dunk in that top goal, trying to get its stacks in, is what it looks like. And now we've got them right on taking this the farm around the corner side. They're taking the farm from the jungle what it can. Dodrio coming back in for stacks. Both teams are setting up. We have a ping here on the Pikachu needing to move in. Table is in Tempotion's jungle.
Tempotion needs to watch out for the tall grass as there is a cat in the jungle on the prowl, but what's going to stop that is the freezing glare of this Mamoswine, able to land a really nice Ice Fan. Like I was saying before, this is a wild charge. Zeraora, the prediction there, at least one of them, was finally correct, but as we head to the halfway point of the game, take a look at that lockdown offense by AW, able to get a KO on the Dodrio.
Ooh, and then that Leafeon Emerald 2-step comes in to get that KO on the Miraidon, as well as the Scyther 2 KO streak with Leafeon, but it's going to drop to the Zeraora. This is sort of like the back and forth that we've been seeing a little bit here in these team fights. Potion does have both their tier 1 goals dropped in the bottom and top lane. We have a Regieleki up top, but there is a lot of farm on Potion's side that they have not gotten yet. Look at all those yellow dots, Draku.
Lots of farm side of Potion. Of course, you get more farm as you lose goal zones, particularly the top tier 1 and bottom path goal zone. It's keeping them in this game, cough cough. And even though they are at a deficit in score, they do have a level lead. Level 13 on your Leafeon, having now both of your plus abilities at level 12. Almost level 13 on the Dodrio. So even though I feel like Table has been in full control of this game and the board state, Potion is right back in this game with all of that comeback EXP with losing those tier 1 goal zones.
This is exactly what we saw in round 2, game 2 here for Potion. Oh my goodness, big Pikachu Unite. Miraidon dropping these meteors, trying to take out this Pikachu. The drift coming in, Pikachu trying to get out. The drift, oh well, Emerald 2-step from the Leafeon. The Miraidon does make its escape, but wow, that was a swift fight. The Zeraora is taking the Reggie in the bottom, able to secure it as well. Looks like that's a Reggie Ice for Table that's going to go into this potential Rayquaza fight. But yeah, this is exactly the position Potion was in last time. Leafeon dropping Umbreon. They were behind, but they were patient, and they were able to take the win. Can they do it again?
Table has to be very, very careful. Potion has a lot of momentum right now. They've KO'd a number of their own teammates in the last minute or so. Lots of experience inside of Potion. Level 14 now on the Leafeon is your highest on the field. Level 13 for your Dodrio. Your jump kicks are going to do so much damage, and also stuns on either side of the ability. Dodrio is going to head over to that tier 2 as we see them quite often during the final stretch, and 1 point or 1 score will give them the lead.
Absolutely. Leafeon and Pikachu both trying to farm back up those Unites, and they were able to. So here we go into our Rayquaza. We are in the final stretch. That Electro Ball coming in very far, chasing down that Zeraora. Gets a little bit of a dap. The Dodrio for Potion waiting in that top lane. Gonna get some back half happening, but Zeraora gonna dive in from the Pokemon Center, stop the back half. Dodrio only gets 14 in, and now we have a chase going in the top lane. Dodrio continue to get back to its team, though, and the Rayquaza is being tapped by the Miraidon, and oh my goodness, the Zeraora drops to Dodrio finally.
Zeraora gets wiped off of the face of the field, and triple trample going into the center of the Rayquaza pit. Rayquaza is now being ignored as that boy Muck, who other than the MVP of the team, is definitely carrying them here. A KO streak for 2 for Potion, definitely finding their X attack here in the central area, but Dodrio is going to be the first to fall for their team.
It is indeed that Crosswell is really low, as well as the Umbreon, and what team is going to be able to make a move? Pikachu trying to take the Umbreon. It has been such a successful wall for Table. Zeraora drops the Leafeon in the bottom lane. Potion 2 Pokemon down. That is a 25-second timer on that Leafeon, which is absolutely huge when we only have 48 seconds left in this game. We are moving in the Rayquaza. Mamoswine drops as well, and it looks like Table is needing to take this. Are they gonna burn it down? Yes, they are. While they've got the moment, only Dodrio left, and Table takes the Rayquaza. They are gonna be taking your game 3 here in this round. And here we go. We're gonna dump some Hungo Burgers in there and push this point gap as far as they can.
What an incredible game between these two teams, really showing their expertise, their patience, more importantly. Huge shout out to Dat Boy Muck, who I feel like had definitely a few MVP moments with Pikachu in this last game. Only ending the game at level 13, but their impact was definitely felt nonetheless. But Table really pulling out a double speedster type composition in both of these games, pulling out an Absol, Scyther, and now a Zeraora. Love the color that this team is bringing to their team compositions.
Absolutely. It's very exciting to see. I love the change up here. And 142 points by Beats by Brian. The Eldegoss coming in 58k on that healing. And Eldegoss always an amazing healer. But Umbreon, look at this. 58k on an Eldegoss, but 56k on an Umbreon. When we talk about a Pokemon that's flexible in draft, Umbreon is one of those. It can either be high damage, it can either be a trapper, or if you need it, a great healer.
Yeah, I think a lot would say that Umbreon is the best defender in the game right now. I think Slowbro had that title for quite some time, but Slowbro got a few-handed nerfs in a couple of patches ago, and Umbreon has stayed oh so consistent for the entire time that it's been in Pokemon Unite. But let's take a look at this game. It's very, very, very close in that score. It's been a score, within a score this entire game. That's just how close it was. And it was just a couple of KOs going in the way of table, KO timers going their way as well. And they were able to find a couple of really important knockouts right before they took the Rayquaza, but really, really good game between these two teams.
Yeah, both these teams felt so evenly matched for all three of these matches. It was very exciting to see. I love the back and forth. I love the tat-tat-tat here. And this team comp, I think the Crustle Rock Tomb was really, really useful for table, able to isolate like we were talking about earlier. But the Miraidon, these drifts, these pocket kills coming out of nowhere, so clutch for table.
Hey, we finish up these highlights here. We will be heading into round 3 very shortly, and there's a couple of teams that have gone undefeated. And if you want to take a look at where the teams are lining up for today's Swiss event, you can use the command !bracket. But this team fight was a devastating one for Tempotion. There was somewhat of a second team fight engagement. They used all of their Unite moves in that first team fight, and I feel like with the abilities that Table has on their side of the field, it's so damaging. That Scyther execute with the dual wing beat, Miraidon so much damage, same thing with the Zeraora. And kind of started here. It started here with Blueberry taking a quick nap.
Yeah, this is interesting to see. I wonder if there was something happening with Blueberry's connection there, but they was able to come back, but not in time for that swine up to get that early jungle. Caught me off guard, caught Blueberry off guard as well. So yeah, congratulations to Table for taking that game. And whew, that was exciting. I love seeing a solid player like Blueberry on a speedster. It's such a difficult and complicated role to play on the team because you're doing so much carry work. And Blueberry clearly was able to highlight that. But chat, we are going to be setting up for our round 3 here, and we're going to go on a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back with round 3 of Unite Battle Hub's first ever Fight Night. Welcome back, chat, to round 3 of Unite Battle Hub's Fight Night. I am super excited to be back. I hope you all had a wonderful break. I hope you got some water, maybe got a snack. But regardless, thank you all for being here. That's right, Kella. We are in Fight Night. Everybody do their fighter pose. They're like character select pose. Oh my goodness, we've had some amazing games so far this evening. Kello, you were able to spectate that last match. What did you think? What did you see? Let me know your thoughts.
Look, I think this is just the epitome of what Fight Night is all about. The fact that we had round 3. We're just having some fun, some great compositions. I mean, we saw a Zero Aura come out on the field. So very much liking that, along with the Scyther, picks that we don't usually see. So the experimentation. But you know what? We are not going to delay. There is no time to blink here, because we have Machichi's Letterbox going up against Don't Sleep here.
Absolutely. No time to sleep at all. We're going out of the sandbox and into the letterbox here, as we have Umbreon banned for Machichi's letterbox. Don't Sleep immediately banning that Darkrai. These are some classic bans that we've seen so far. MQL hovering that, definitely not. Gotta be the Psyduck. Please don't let it be the Psyduck. No, our boy! Although, Machichi's letterbox not taking a second ban. Draco, what do we think about that?
Leads to a lot of Pokemon to be selected here. I feel like these 3 are the most consistent. I think Blissey, they probably want to just leave Blissey on the field. I think Blissey is just the best supporter in the game right now. I think Hoopa is definitely a second, maybe third. But they provide different values to your team, and you can't deny the amount of healing that Blissey is able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, we got Miraidon coming in for Kusi, Trevenant off for T-Viper as well with that experience share. 2 more classic Pokemon we've seen so much to this evening. They're tried and true, you know? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Machichi's Litterbox coming in here potentially on this Leafeon. Yes, indeed, Leafeon, one of the best speedsters in this game, as you said earlier, Draco, one of the best first pick speedsters in the game. Kello, what do we think about Ducky Loco on this Snorlax?
Look, I love the disruption that Snorlax can provide, whether it be with the Heavy Slam block or even a Yawn. I mean, maybe they are trying to send Don't Sleep to sleep here. We never know.
I would be so hyped if I saw a Sleep Snorlax. MQL confirming the Blaziken, and I have to quote Spraggles here in Doopsnacks talking about the LAIC. Is Blaziken slept on and is it still a top tier Pokemon? Yes, it is. It's so useful and so good, but we do not see it as much as we'd like to. Mock on the Lucario though. Draco, a Lucario? Here, now?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Overlord do so well with Lucario at LAIC, and I feel like once again, a lot of teams are starting to pick up on, I guess, Luminosity Gaming strategy. Of course, they have a more traditional healer with Blissey on their side, but this high-tempo early game and high-velocity, high-movement type Pokemon with this Leafeon and Lucario, well, this Trevenant, like we were talking about before, has a lot of work cut out for them. You have to protect this Miraidon from these 2 speedsters or 2 speedster type Pokemon, and well, you got to pick one. You got to crowd control the Leafeon, or you got to crowd control the Lucario. Well, you can't do both.
Yeah, absolutely. We also see there's an X attack on the Leafeon and on the Zeraora as well, which means that is going to be some very high spike damage. I did catch the Muscle Band and the Rapid Scarf on the Decidueye. That means we might be getting another Razor Leaf Decidueye for this team comp. Draco, what do you think?
I mean, it's the same type of comments that I was making before. Decidueye just does so well at range, especially when there's only a Miraidon on the other side, and if you're looking at Don't Sleep, well, this Decidueye might be sleeping a lot more often. They have quite a number of mid-range threats. Trevenant, of course. Blaziken, you don't want to eat an overheat. And got the Electric Cat as well. But Kopf, thank you so much for hosting. Kello and I will take the reins. We will see you. Check back in with you later. Kello, good to have you back on the cast.
Yes, I'm very excited. This is our final round for tonight. 3 rounds of Swiss. And is it Machichi's Litterbox and Don't Sleep? Have they dropped any of the sets today?
I believe Don't Sleep did lose one set earlier on today, but they were a higher seeded team for our Swiss type tournament, and no one gets knocked out. They played throughout the entire event. But Machichi's Litter Box, they have not dropped a single map on today's event.
I mean, looking at their roster, it is pretty stacked there. We do have Machisel making sure to lock down that Boltoy uncontested, but we do have that Zero Aura coming on through. But you can see on the mini-map, slowly but surely, Leafeon and Snorlax are looking to join the party up in the top path.
A lowly owl in the bottom path, who's on their own against a Miraidon and a Phantom, but 4 members. Machichi's Litter Box going to corral up here in the top path. It's going to force Don't Sleep to maybe take a nap on their tier 1 goal zone. Still very healthy, and unfortunately the Decidueye gets killed.
I mean, no surprises there, because when you have a Miraidon on your tail, there is probably no escaping that, even in the Flux Zone. But we do have Machisel, who wasn't able to empty out their Eos energy. They are running attack weight, so getting knocked out there is huge for Don't Sleep.
Yeah, good early game for Don't Sleep, able to get a KO on both that Rowlet in that bottom path and now Machizel and their Lucario in the top path. Both teams positioning themselves for these central area Swablues, but really good secure on the side of Don't Sleep. I don't know what type of Zero Aura this is just yet. I believe that is a Spark Zero Aura, so we might be seeing a Spark Wild Charge Zero Aura once they hit level 7 and get access to both of their abilities.
Yeah, NA must be onto some secret tech with Zero Aura. We've seen it time and time again coming on out, but you know what is also coming on out? The bonks from the Trevenant. 3 members of Machichi's Litter Box have been knocked out, and now this is going to provide the time for Kuzi to go on in, get in 10 points on the board, making that goal climb even closer. It's only 10 points difference here, Draku.
Yeah, very close game. I think it's definitely going back and forth, but you somewhat expect Machichi's Litter Box to do somewhat poorly in this early game. The game really doesn't start until this Decidueye gets online and they can start outranging Don't Sleep, but Miraidon is a Electro Drift Miraidon, so no forms of range damage for Don't Sleep.
Who needs range damage when you can just go in and then run at them or drift at them, as we can see demonstrated here, straight onto Machizel, who is able to X-Speed and Bone Rush their way out of danger.
This is definitely going to be a game of technical micro between the two. You know, landing those E-speeds or landing those electro drifts are not easy, especially when the other team has a lot of mobility, and you hate to see this type of thing happen. Gotta watch out for that tall grass, Kello. There might be a predatory cat on the prowl.
Whoa, but you know what else might be a predator up here is Machizel on this Lucario. Once again, just E-speeding through this team here, locking down that Regieleki. This goal is left on 44, so Don't Sleep are likely to go and defend this. That way, they don't end up getting any major overdunks. But knock knock, who's there? Decidueye Unite move has come on out to try and chip away some damage, pick up 2 KOs for themselves as well.
KO streak of 2, and this goal zone might be crumbling very soon. But of course, there are a number of Pokemon up here that are very bulky. Blissful Assistants gonna try to support their Decidueye, staying alive in the Speed Flux Zone. You don't normally see an owl there. You normally see them in a tall grass, not in a Flux Zone.
Oh, they were trying to push on forward. That goal is now left on 25. We do have Cruelty picking up 3 KOs, looking for a 4th on Machizel. However, they have their eyes set on somebody different. That Eldegoss, who is able to shield their way out, dodge that Emerald 2-step, and no KOs for Machichi's Litter Box this time round.
Yeah, really trying to will themselves on this tier 1 goal zone, but Don't Sleep has definitely been awake very well on their own side of the map, and they've been an unbreakable wall in this top path. Really nice overheat, followed, or a really nice blaze kick into the wall, followed by an overheat. It's going to KO a couple of members of Machichi's Litter Box, going to send them over to the doghouse more than likely. And this goal zone finally going to fall. 210 to 107, a 103-point lead halfway into the game.
halfway into the game, we already have a level 12 Zoroark on the side of Don't Sleep. Decidueye is the highest level on the side of Machichi's Litterbox, and Lucario and Leafeon have just ticked on over, but we do have that Regieleki spawning. 3 members of Don't Sleep are going to take care of that, while we do have Hoyo on the Leafeon, trying to solo down this basement Reggie, while the team members are coming in for some assistance and a great block to zone out that Trevenant there.
Regieleki is going to go over to the side of Machichi's litter box. Both teams are going to disengage on either side of the field. I think one thing to pay attention to that was like game number 1 for Tempotion is that they lost both tier 1 goal zones, and even though they are down a deficit in score, in terms of experience, they will have more farm spawning on their side of the map, Color.
Oh, but look at this isolation onto the Blaziken. However, it was able to eject on out and get the escape back into safety for that berry. This goal is left on 25. Lucy making sure to dunk in that 8 before a big 40 goes on through. Leafeon has been knocked out, but that is traded off for Blaziken. And once again, this is just the definition of what Fight Night is all about. Brawls, time and time again. There is absolutely no time to blink, no time to sleep, no time to breathe for us, Draco. Okay, well, now we can breathe.
Okay, we can breathe for just a second. I think the round bell has struck, and 1 minute for this break before the next brawl begins. But just like in other rounds, let's go ahead and talk about our win conditions here. Of course, for a Decidueye, that win condition is to keep the president alive, but normally you don't have your president in the front lines, Kello. We see a level 13 Decidueye, but I think one of the more difficult things with Razor Leaf Decidueye is keeping it on the field. It has quite significant lifesteal, especially at level 11, even more at level 13. But like I was saying before, there's a lot of threats on Don't Sleep. You want to try to keep your Decidueye from sleeping for more than 30 seconds if it's KO'd.
I mean, it's the wrong Pokemon, wrong move, but you could call it a Brave Bird here, because, I mean, it does have that Snorlax and that Blissey by its side, but yes, definitely doesn't want to get caught on out, especially when there is that Wild Charge Zeraora lurking about. Blaziken, even a Miraidon Drift, you know, once you get isolated, I mean, it's probably no escaping that, but we're heading on into the final stretch. Don't Sleep is in the lead in points, so it's up to Machichi's Litterbox to try and get a lockdown. Ducky potentially with that heavy slam, but they ended up full healing, and 3 members of Machichi's Litterbox are instantly KO'd. 4 members as the Unite moves are going to rain on down. And you know what? Snorlax is like, you say don't sleep, I'm going to take a nap right here because my whole teammate is gone.
The headwinds are strong for our orange side team as they blow away Machichi's Litterbox. It's all led by the Trevenant, making so much room for their team. We've seen it time and time again. The eject plays into Woodhammer, into perma-stun, permanently stunning the enemy team. JL did use their knock-knock unite move, but the only thing was getting knocked down was the doors to the Pokemon Center as 5 members of Machichi's Litterbox head back to their Pokeballs. We take a look at this post-game summary once again. 60,000 damage from the Decidueye, but even though it was only about 50% damage taken relative to the damage it dealt, I feel like the KOs that led to Machichi's Litterbox downfall was really the Decidueye going down first.
Ooh, but you can see here, there were some trade-offs, each of them picking themselves up a basement Reggie, each of them also picking up that Regieleki. But Don't Sleep were just able to keep that points lead, take the reins of that final stretch. And this is what I am looking forward to, the highlights, especially during that final stretch, because I felt like it just happened so quickly. I blinked and I missed it, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was definitely a back and forth game, but I think one of the things about Decidueye is that teams tend to build around the Decidueye, and it's somewhat of the foundation for the team. And especially if your foundation is quite weak or putting it I don't know, in the front to medium range of the enemy team. As soon as that Decidueye starts to fall, that's one of your biggest forms of consistent damage across your team. You want team fights to go long and extended to make sure you are getting the most amount of value from this character. But Trevenant really blows down the door when it has plays like that, ejecting onto the Decidueye and then going into a combination that basically prevents the Decidueye from playing the game.
Yeah, just being able to get those isolations is key. But even then, just having MQL on the Zero Aura locked down with that wild charge, you just can't escape it. And yeah, demonstrating there the 3 KO streak, Miraidon on such low HP, and there we go. Ducky ended up going in with the heavy slam, but because Miraidon popped the Unite move, they didn't actually end up getting stunned there. And just the meteors raining on down, paired up with that Zero Aura Unite. They were just able to wreak havoc.
Yeah, with a team like Machichi's Litter Box, you want to try to play around your Decidueye. But I mean, if you look at the components there, right, the Snorlax was trying to make some room for their team. They engaged onto the back line of Don't Sleep. The Lucario and the Leafeon, by nature, they tend to move around the field a lot. They don't tend to clump together. So it really left just the Blissey to stand by that Decidueye as it was using those auto attacks. But with the Snorlax moving forward and Don't Sleep moving forward onto the Decidueye, that's always going to be in favor of Don't Sleep in those types of team fight engagements.
Yeah, I guess that's a thing. Going on to heavy slam into the Miraidon, I guess they were going to theoretically follow up with the block, but they just weren't able to because it ended up dodging that. And even then, is Miraidon really the pick that you want to go for, considering that Electro Drift to get out of that isolation? But I guess that was the one in the front line. They went on a whim, tried, but you know what? Doesn't matter. We have a second round underway. Don't Sleep are now on the purple side. Machichi's on the orange. We have a Mimikyu ban this time around, even though we didn't actually see it in the previous one, along with Psyduck and Darkrai. Hello? That didn't get banned? Zero Miraidon? What is going on right now? Yeah, Machichi's a litter box. Draku, I don't think they want to go to sleep because I feel like this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be hard to, go on your banner head, because if your team name is Don't Sleep and you have a Miraidon, it's kind of going counterintuitive to your team name, right, Caleb? Kind of?
Oh, you know what? I'm really interested to see whether they are going to pick up any other Pokemon, whether it be a Wigglytuff, even a Snorlax Yawn, to see if they can muster up Darkrai's passive whenever an opponent on the opposite team is asleep. Mind you, while Darkrai does put them to sleep as well, I think that little bit of assistance just to get the extra tick damage in could be useful. But you know what? Maybe they might not need it and they're putting all faith in that Dark Nightmare. But they are going to go in Machichi's Litter Box with a Mewtwo Y. This is the first Mewtwo Y we have seen tonight.
Yeah, if Darkrai was allowed at LAIC by Nouns Esports, or actually Nouns Esports did pick up a Darkrai for themselves, but they ended up losing that game. I believe they had a composition like, it was against Tuzzy. It was something like Darkrai, Miraidon, and Umbreon on their side of the field, and they still ended up losing that game. So it is possible to lose with Darkrai on your side of the field, and I do really like how Machichi has responded with this. They definitely are going to be bulking up, really leaning into a protect the presidents type style with the Mewtwo Y and Hyo on their Glaceon, applying a lot of auto attack pressure. I don't know if this Darkrai can do enough damage to those two characters specifically without investing a whole lot or putting itself in a suboptimal position.
I'm just curious here, where does Gardevoir fit into the mixture? I guess it is that backline damage, and I mean, considering Umbreon, Blissey, I mean, even a Blastoise, if they're all clumped up together, a Unite move could work out well, but then you also just have Glaceon and Mewtwo Y in the backline. So, in theory, do you think this Gardevoir is going to be... Is it going to work out for Don't Sleep here? What are your thoughts on it as their ranged attacker choice?
Yeah, Gardevoir, it can reset, for example, its future sight very frequently if it lands on those frontline defenders. If it lands that Fairy Singularity on more than a single target, it can be very, very impactful. It's just one of those abilities or one of those characters that can break down a front line if you're able to isolate those characters. And characters or defenders traditionally don't run things like full heals. So if you're able to land that ability on multiple defenders or even that Blissey, you can be very impactful in these late game team fights.
I mean, one thing, I'm expecting a helping hand safeguard Blissey here, considering we have that Mewtwo Y. I know that era definitely brings back nightmares for us, but you know what, we're heading into our second round. Don't Sleep are 1-up. Darkrai and Gossifleur are heading up into that top path, putting the pressure on Chansey and Squirtle, who are trying to get this farm, and it looks like they were able to take that away from Don't Sleep too.
The interesting thing about Blastoise into specifically this Darkrai is that while they're in the Rapid Spin, which I'm most likely going to be seeing a Rapid Spin Blastoise in that top path, it can't be slept while it's in Rapid Spin because it is invulnerable, at least to those type of hindrances. And well, you want to try to avoid being slept as much as you can, and that's a really good way to do so.
But we do have some free dunks going on in here. JL just watching from the tall grass. Not able to do a lot, I guess, because they are on their own. But because they were able to get their dunks, they're able to take the majority of those wild Pokemon for Don't Sleep as well.
Actually kind of surprised to see Don't Sleep on their back foot. They are a little patient, but they are able to KO Ducky on their Umbreon, pushing forward on this tier 1 goal zone, scoring 10 from the Gardevoir. Mewtwo Y still struggling to get to level 5. That's when you have access to your Mega Evolution. You can see that their gauge is quite full, so if they're able to get a KO here, and you can see right there, as soon as they tick into level 5, immediately going in to that Mewtwo X, or is that Mewtwo Y Mega Evolution.
Yeah, but there's no opponents in sight, so instead they're just going to have to use all of that power onto the wild Pokemon to shred it on down. Glaceon is having an absolute field day in that central area, getting all of those Swablues and Altaria for themselves. It looks like Mewtwo went and joined the party, while the rest of them are just going to end up sticking in their lanes here. Trevenant doesn't have any points on hand, but instead just trying to contest the wild Pokemon up against that Umbreon.
A few things about playing Mewtwo Y is, again, around that Mega Evolution. You get a boost in special attack when you're in that Mega Evolved form, but it's all about managing your Mega Gauge, and having it immediately available when you go into these larger team fights is how you make the most out of it. So you can see here, JL may even decide not to go into that. I think that last auto attack procced them into that Mega Evolution. Another team fight breaking out here in the top path. Yo has access to that Unite move, Glacial Stage being set onto the field, and QL struggling in this top path, only level 7, Kello.
Oh my gosh, but you've got to give credit to MKQL there for escaping with that Darkrai move. Despite being on 1 HP, this Regieleki is going to get shredded on down. It is going to go over to the side of Don't Sleep, as we do have Cruelty locking it on down. And 2 members have also been knocked out as a side prize by Darkrai.
Yeah, Darkrai right back into this game. Still has doesn't have access to that Unite move just yet. Playing that Whack-A-Mole ability, this Dark Pulse, as they go underneath Thea Sky Ruins. Here comes Don't Sleep. They unfortunately lose that Regieleki, but they're going to continue to pile on this tier 1 goal zone, Kella.
Yes, so they're going to try and get these goals in, but it's still at a healthy 80 points. But Ceruledge is going to pop their Unite move just to land that finishing blow, get in another 40. Eldegoss is also going to be able to get in their points, and that is going to be a 21 overdunk. So you know what? I think that was a fight worth taking, considering Don't Sleep now have the lead at 146 to 82 points.
As teams start to, or members of each team start to level into their Unite moves at level 8 or level 9 respectively, if we look at the Unite moves between the two teams, I feel like Don't Sleep's Unite moves are definitely more impactful relative to Machichi's Litter Box's Unite move. Think about that Miraidon Unite move that can put someone in the Dark Dimension. The Gardevoir Unite move, Saralege, Revenant Ren got a KO streak of 2, and it looks like the Glaceon able to pull that one away. Here comes the airstrike from the Mewtwo, Infinite Cyburn, able to KO that Darkrai as they move on forward to the tier 1 of Don't Sleep.
Oh, but look at that. Another Revenant Ren comes on in and slashes on through Machichi's litter box. Clean it on up. Blissey and Mewtwo Y, despite being in that mega form, are going to retreat, not looking to continue that fight.
We head to the halfway point of the game, about an 80 or a 70 point lead on the side of Don't Sleep. As we look at the levels, they are starting to level out, but with that tier 1 goal zone gone, like we saw in game number 1 on the side of Machichi's Litter Box, in terms of experience economy, the investment on the side of Litter Box definitely going to be a little higher for their evolution stocks.
Oh, but look at this. Another Regieleki for the side of Don't Sleep. So Machichi's Litter Box are definitely going to have to try and take care of that. Looks like they're going to leave that Blastoise on Regieleki duty, while the rest of the members are just going to venture on out, see whatever wild Pokemon they can pick up for themselves, because they do not want to give it freely over to the side of Don't Sleep. They're going to get engaged with another fight. Glaceon ends up landing their stage, taking out that Trevenant. The Umbreon is caught in that nightmare. Looking to drag Cub on out as they are fighting their way through. But you know what? They ended up surviving. So I don't know. Is Darkrai Umbreon's bad dream? Or is Umbreon Darkrai's bad dream there? Like, that's wild they survived that.
Umbreon basically said, call an ambulance, but not for me, is the Darkrai heading back to their Pokeball only briefly as they're starting to work on those back Bunnelbees in the central area. Still a lead by Don't Sleep, but I think in terms of experience, Chi-Chi's Litter Box definitely looking a lot more balanced. There's a level 13 on that Saralege, having access to both of their possibilities, but in terms of levels across the teams, definitely more balance on the side of Litter Box.
Yes, indeed. But you know what? Yeah, you mentioned points are really close. We do have another basement Reggie spawning. It's going to be another Reg Ice. Glaceon is going to make sure to just stack up those shards. Landed on that Gardevoir, chip it at half HP. But you know what? 3-minute mark. Gardevoir is going to use that Fairy Singularity, and they still end up losing it to Machichi's Litter Box. So they're going to have to try and farm on up whatever wild Pokemon is over on their side, getting ready for that final stretch. But you know what? They're not even giving the chance to breathe because they have to defend this goal.
Icy winds are howling, but they might be slowing down by this Saralege. A KO Shriek of 2. The Ghost-type Pokemon is starting to heat up here in the bottom path. Score going in the side of Machichi's Litter Box has brought them a little closer. And it's definitely a one-score game. If we're talking about fight nights, this bottom path, this basement is definitely turned into the Fight Club. Don't Sleep and Machichi's Litter Box. If there's one thing about Fight Club, let's talk about the final stretch, Kello.
Yeah, you're talking about the bottom path being the home for the Fight Club. I mean, it's the Rayquaza pit. This is where the magic happens. But the thing is, it's a close battle. Neither of these teams know who's in the lead. Both of those bottom tier ones are up, so either of them could easily retreat on back, but as they wait in that tall grass, it's the temptation, the patience. Who's going to make the first move? Cruelty is going to make the first move onto that Rayquaza, slowly drawing out Machichi's Litter Box here as Darkrai comes on in from behind the Blastoise, trying to get an isolation, but they didn't end up landing their hits.
Oh, yeah, two legendary Pokemon going into a 1v1. Mewtwo Y in that Mega Evolution heading back to the Pokemon Center. That is going to be a very high value KO. Fairy Singularity landing only on a single character. Another one heading back to the drawing board as Umbreon gets KO'd as well. Hyo trying desperately to stay on the field, setting that glacial stage. Darkrai making this dream into a nightmare once again as they send the Glaceon to the Nightmare Realm.
Oh, this is going to have to be Don't Sleep's chance. It looks like Sterilage is going to try and solo down that Rayquaza while the rest of them are pivoting down onto that bottom path, looking to try and get some goals. They do manage to take down that Mewtwo Y. Rayquaza super duper low. Cruelty, the one to hit it first and the one to hit it last, gets those shields for Don't Sleep, and ding, ding, ding. Draku, Don't Sleep have just won this round. Fight Club, Fight Night is over.
A 1-2 punch combination, all from that Darkrai, able to KO the Mewtwo Y and then into the Glaceon. Really left the litter box stumbling backwards. It was the knockout punch that definitely led Don't Sleep to win game number 2. And you know, Darkrai was definitely not, I would say, the MVP of this game. A huge shout out to Cruelty, landing some of the hugest, the biggest Revenant Rens that we've seen on Thea Sky Ruins, landing on 1 to 2, sometimes even 3 characters. That ability alone stuns and does a massive amount of damage onto anyone it hits. And you can see that with that number there. 6 digits in that damage dealt column, 107,000 damage on this all-rounder.
Oh, Sterilage may have received some nerfs in that last patch, but it is definitely demonstrating that it is still one of the top all-rounders to pick on up. But Draku, we're going to have a look at some highlights from this match. There was a lot of action, not just from this one, but I just think from all of tonight, really.
Yeah, even though this was a 2-0 victory for Don't Sleep, I feel like this was one decision or one knockout away from being Machichi's litter box win in this set specifically. The game was so close, we'll probably see that, or we saw that earlier with the graphical representation of the score, but it's a really good representation of how close these two teams were in skill. One KO going in the way of Machichi's litter box could have been or spelt disaster for Don't Sleep as well.
Yes, oh my gosh, the isolation on the Trevenant to push him on back, get those KOs. I guess that's a thing. In terms of Machichi's, it was quite close. I think one of the things that I noticed about the Mewtwo Y is it ended up going into that mega form a lot when the fights were already over, so not really being able to utilize that to the best of its ability. But yeah, there was this final stretch, just knock out Mewtwo, Umbreon, taken on down, and I know Darkrai ended up being able to lock out one of the biggest threats that were left, which were the Glaceon. Even then, Neon, despite the eggs, was not able to save the Blastoise as Don't Sleep were just so clumped up together.
Yeah, Mewtwo Y is definitely a monster in the right hands, in my opinion. But again, the way to really utilize this character and its primary ability is how to navigate that mega evolution, to have that ready to go as soon as a team fight breaks out. Not only do you need to have that gauge in prime position, but also just being positioned optimally with the Pokemon itself are two things that I feel like, at least for North America, are still trying to figure out. But this is, of course, the best place to figure those things out in these fight nights. And this was a really fun event, Kella. I had a ton of fun with you, a ton of fun with Cough. Fortunately, we didn't see a whole lot of Psyduck, but we definitely saw a lot of teams experimenting today. And I think that's the most important thing as we head into the UCS season.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about that prep phase. Even if you don't actually end up winning your matches, you're still working towards that team synergy, the team communication between them, and yeah, just finding out what works best for all of you. I guess it's also performing under that pressure. I mean, even during draft, putting your brain into use. But folks, this may have been the kick-off for Fight Nights over at Unite Battle Hub. It's the first, and it definitely isn't the last, because we do have NA Fight Night 2 on the 27th of November for anybody that is in the NA region looking to also participate in this event. And do not worry, because EU, you haven't been forgotten. If you haven't signed on up, we do have your first fight night on November 22nd. And if you can't make that one, there is that second chance on November 29th. So definitely go to Start GG. I believe the link will end up being put into that chat there. Have a look. Exclamation mark socials, follow the Twitter for all of our updates as well.
I hate to correct you, Kello, but you are very much in the future, and it is still Tuesday for us. So just a small correction on the days for us here in North America. It's on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think it's just a little easier to follow. So the next one is going to be on the 26th for North America. It is your 27th, Kello, since you are in the future. And then for EU, if you're watching from the European region and maybe feeling like you missed out, definitely don't worry on that one. We have our EU regional specific fight nights this Thursday and the following Thursday, which is going to be our Thanksgiving. So that's when we're going to be eating our turkeys. But that is going to be it for us here at the Unite Battle Hub. Cop, I know you're listening in the back. You did a wonderful job today. Thank you once again. Thank you to all of the production in the back line, and we will be seeing you on the next fight night for the European region. It's going to be on Thursday, where we will rumble on. We'll see you again soon.